Chapter 155. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. Yi Jioga immediately rushed forward to check the young man's pulse and discovered that his heart meridians were all broken. It was a miracle that he didn't die. She took out the thunderfire needle and sealed his broken heart meridians. She then raised her head and shouted at Li Zijuan, "Prepare a quiet room for me. I want to treat him." Li Zijuan was about to instruct the apprentices to prepare a room when he was stopped by Gong Hongyu. She pointed at Yi Jioga and shouted, "Yi Jioga, you actually refined a poisonous pill to harm people. You're simply heartless and heartless." After saying that, she turned to look at the judges and said, "I strongly request that the alchemy competition disqualify her." "I agree." The Crown Prince immediately nodded. "Agree, your grandpa." Yi Jioga raised his head and said angrily, "Saving people is more important. Is this the time to talk about this? He was poisoned to death by you and you still have the face to talk about saving people." Gong Hongyu coldly snorted and said to Dongfang Yao, "Grandmaster, Yi Jioga is vicious and merciless. You must not tolerate her." Dongfang Yao picked up Yi Jioga's remaining heart-nourishing pill and sniffed it. He frowned and said, "There's no problem with these pills. Grandmaster, Yi Jioga's tester died in front of you. How can you say that there's no problem?" Gong Hongyu agitatedly said. "Gong Hongyu, you keep saying that there's a problem with my pills. Did you do something?" Yi Jioga saw that he couldn't save people if he didn't clear the pill. He simply stood up and pointed at the tall and thin apprentice and said, "He put the heart-devouring flower in my ingredients. You must have instructed him." "What heart-devouring flower? I never sent it." The tall and thin apprentice hurriedly shook his head in denial. "If you didn't send these heart-devouring flowers, then did I bring them in myself?" Yi Jioga took out a heart-devouring flower from his pocket and sneered. Li Zijuan took the ingredients from Yi Jioga's hands and carefully looked at them before handing them to Dongfang Yao. "It seems to be heart-devouring flower." Dongfang Yao glanced at it and knew it was heart-devouring flower. Because this flower was too similar to the heart-nourishing flower, he specially told the apprentices to choose carefully. He didn't expect that someone would deliberately put a large amount in. Dongfang Yao knew very well who was behind this. He had wanted to warn the Crown Prince after this round of competition was over, but he couldn't help it now. The Crown Prince didn't know that his uncle was already dissatisfied with him. He said with justice, "I don't know anything about the heart-devouring flower. I only know that your medicine tester died after eating your pill. This is your responsibility. Unfortunately, my medicinal tester is still alive. I fear I will have to disappoint your highness," Yi Jioga said coldly. Although the medicine tester was no different from being dead, she had to save him because of the Crown Prince's words. Dongfang Yao calmly stepped forward to take the pulse of the youth. He then took out a bottle of third-stage heart-nourishing pills and said to Yi Jioga, "Let him take this." Yi Jioga took it without hesitation and poured it all into the young man's mouth. The young man's deathly pale face finally regained some color. "Imperial uncle, he is just a tester. You actually gave him such a good pill. Isn't it too wasteful?" The Crown Prince was furious. A third-stage heart-nourishing pill was something that couldn't be bought with money. To actually give it to a dying alchemist, the imperial uncle was really muddle-headed. Because the young man's condition was the most serious, his heart meridian was already extremely weak. He could die at any moment, so the imperial uncle specially gave it to Yi Jioga. He didn't think that the imperial uncle would help Yi Jioga like this. "Shut up." Dongfang Yao raised his head and fiercely said to the Crown Prince, "Before you came, everything was normal. Now that you've interfered, there are problems everywhere. I can't tolerate a big Buddha like you here. You should go back to Shangjing." "Imperial uncle, what do you mean?" The Crown Prince was so shocked that his voice trembled. "That's right, Great Master Dongfeng. It was clearly Yi Jioga who made the wrong pill and caused the death. How can you blame the Crown Prince?" Gong Hongyu was also dissatisfied. She wanted to help the Crown Prince, but she didn't think that Dongfang Yao was preparing to deal with her. "Gong Hongyu, you are disqualified." Dongfang Yao's eyes were very cold. "But," Gong Hongyu screamed. "Because you cheated." Dongfang Yao wasn't blind. He could naturally see that Gong Hongyu's tester was not a patient. If it was any other time, he would turn a blind eye. After all, Gong Hongyu's pills were quite good. But since she was so arrogant, she couldn't blame him for not giving face to the Gong family. Gong Hongyu was so angry that she trembled, but she didn't dare to contradict the angry Dongfang Yao. She fiercely glared at Yijioga, then ran out in tears. Elder Chen and Elder Xiao looked at each other, not daring to make a sound. The other alchemists also maintained their silence. The test is over. Let the evaluation begin. Dongfang Yao once again ordered. Although Yijioga's tester did not die, her evaluation still became the lowest. The other 3 second-stage alchemists were still good, so the best result was Yi Shanshan. Yijioga didn't care about this result. He only asked Li Zijuan to help send the tester to his Flying Frost Pavilion. Li Zijuan did as Dongfang Yao said. In the Rising Heaven Pavilion, the Crown Prince's face was as ugly as a dark cloud. Once he returned to his courtyard, he immediately called Su Junqing over and scolded him. Didn't you say that if we followed your plan, we would definitely be able to pull Yijioga down? How come she not only won the competition, but also caused me to be despised by Imperial Uncle? When he thought that his Imperial Uncle would tell this matter to his Imperial Father, his entire body froze from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. Your Highness, please calm down. I didn't expect things to turn out this way. Su Junqing had set up layers of traps to push Yijioga and Wan Ziang into the land of 10,000 calamity. He didn't expect that Yijioga not only didn't fall for his trap, but also hit the Crown Prince. I don't care what method you use, I will kill Yijioga. The Crown Prince said angrily. Don't worry, Crown Prince. Even if Yijioga wins the pill refining competition, she won't be able to escape from our palms. Su Junqing said confidently. You say that every time, but when can you do it well? I really don't know why Imperial Mother sent you here. You're simply trash. The Crown Prince roared at Su Junqing. A sinister light flashed in Su Junqing's eyes, but he quickly returned to his original state. He smiled and looked at the Crown Prince's eyes. He said gently, there must be a reason why the Empress sent me to assist your Highness. You can choose not to believe me, but you can't not believe the Empress. The Crown Prince looked at Su Junqing's bottomless eyes and suddenly felt that Su Junqing was right. Everyone could be wrong, but not his Imperial Mother. Then I'll believe you once more. The Crown Prince said unwillingly. Yes, Your Highness, please do as I say. Su Junqing said his next step of the plan. The Crown Prince was shocked after hearing it. Chapter 156. Are you crazy? That's someone from the Gong family. The Crown Prince looked at Su Junqing in disbelief. Your Highness, this subordinate knows that you want to rope in the Gong clan, but Gong Hongyu is definitely not a good choice, because the person she likes is Dongfang Quebec. No matter how well you treat her, it's useless. Su Junqing said slowly. The Crown Prince immediately thought of how Gong Hongyu had complained about him being useless after being disqualified by Dongfang Yao. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. He couldn't help but clench his fists and said fiercely, You're right, a stupid woman isn't worth roping in. It's better to use her for something more useful. Your Highness is wise. Su Junqing's lips curled up and he left. When he returned to his room and opened the door, he smelled a faint fishy smell. Junior brother, I heard that you were scolded badly today. Lu Yunfei's sweet voice sounded from Su Junqing's bed. Then, a fair and tender lotus root-like arm lifted the green bed curtain, revealing a delicate face and fair and smooth shoulders. Senior sister is indeed powerful, nothing can hide from your eyes. Su Junqing looked down, not daring to look at the bed. How is it? Do you want senior sister to help you vent your anger? Lu Yunfei got off the bed naked. The man's corpse lying behind her looked like a skeleton. Lu Yunfei had just sucked the essence and blood of a martial artist. Her skin was glowing and a faint fragrance floated to the tip of Su Junqing's nose. Thank you for your kindness, senior sister, but the Crown Prince is still useful. Let him go first. Su Junqing looked at his nose and silently closed his nose aperture. If you come and help me put on my clothes, I'll consider letting him go. Lu Yunfei laughed. the white swaying on her chest reflecting a dazzling light. Su Junqing calmed down again and picked up the pink doo-doo on the ground to help Lu Yunfei put it on. The whole process was very calm. I couldn't tell that little junior brother is a good person. Lu Yunfei put on her clothes and pinched Su Junqing's chest. Tell me, why did you call me here? Senior sister, the crown prince has already agreed to the next step of our plan. Tonight is the highlight of the show, so I hope that senior sister can personally cooperate with us to prevent things from changing. Su Junqing specially brought a man with a high cultivation as a sacrifice and called Lu Yunfei back, hoping that she would personally deal with Yi Jioge. Don't worry, since I've taken your benefits, I'll naturally do my best to help you. Lu Yunfei frivolously patted Su Junqing's face and smiled very charmingly. For the past few days, she had been playing with the shadow assassin Yu. Originally, he wanted to push him down tonight and reap the fruits of victory. However, the sacrificial offering just now was still to her liking. She was very full now, so she decided to pick the night feather later. Thank you, senior sister. Su Junqing had a grateful expression, but in his heart he was very dissatisfied. This wasn't his mission alone, but Lu Yunfei looked like she was here to help. However, no matter how dissatisfied he did not dare to make a sound. If he failed this mission, Lu Yunfei would at most be confined and punished by the elder ancestor, but he would not be able to escape death. Alright, I'll go meet that prey now. Lu Yunfei stuck out her pink tongue and licked her lips, muttering to herself, although that woman's temper is a bit bad, her skin is not bad. With that, her figure disappeared like a ghost. Su Junqing silently destroyed the dried corpse on the bed and tidied up the messy room. Then, he opened the window and looked towards the west direction of the Flying Frost sect, laughing coldly in his heart. Yi Jioge, tonight will be the day of your death. At this moment, Yi Jioge was in the backyard of the Flying Frost sect treating the youth who was testing the medicine. Although the youth had already taken the bottle of rank 3 heart-nourishing pills from Dong Fang Yao, his condition was still very bad. His broken heart meridian was in a mess, his blood was flowing in the opposite direction, and he was in danger of dying at any moment. If she wanted to save him, she had to use external force to smooth out his heart meridian, allowing his blood to circulate normally. If Yi Jioge did not advance, she was afraid that she would be helpless. She pinched her fingers and inserted the thunder fire needle into the youth's body, and began to use all her strength to repair his heart meridian. Ever since Yi Jioge's cultivation advanced, not only did the spiritual power in her body double, her control over the lightning fire needle also became more sensitive. Under her control, the purplish-red lightning fire needle turned into a stream of light, repairing the youth's heart meridian one by one. Time flew. When she finished repairing the last one, her entire body was about to collapse. But fortunately, the heart meridian was repaired perfectly. After the youth's blood returned to the right path, his breathing became incomparably stable, and his tightly knitted brows also relaxed. Yi Jioge estimated that he would probably need another 4 hours before he would wake up, so she left the room. Yi Rui was anxiously waiting outside. Upon seeing her, she immediately asked, "Big sister, just what happened? Who is that man?" After she lost the first round of the competition, she was cleared out, so she did not know what happened afterwards. Just now, when she saw Yi Jioge bringing a dying man back, she was really scared to death. "He is my medicine tester today." Yi Jioge told her what happened in the competition. After Yi Rui heard that Gong Hongyu was disqualified and the crown prince was chased back to the capital, she immediately jumped up in joy and shouted, "This good news must be properly celebrated. Let's celebrate then." Yi Jioge saw that the crown prince and Gong Hongyu were out of luck, so she was also very happy. "Qing Hu, Qing Lu, Yu Dai, Hua Dai, take some money to the small kitchen and have them make a few more dishes. Tonight, we will have a big meal," Yi Rui excitedly said. Qing Hu, Qing Lu, and Yu Dai all responded. "Where is Hua Dai?" Yi Jioge glanced around and found that a little maid was missing. Hua Dai heard that there is a pastry shop in Alchemy City that makes very authentic hawthorn cakes, so she wanted to buy them for Big Miss to try. Looking at the time, they should be back soon. Yu Dai quickly said. Yi Jioge couldn't help but frown and said, These days are not peaceful, don't go out too much in the future. This time, the crown prince suffered such a big loss, so he was afraid that he would not be satisfied and randomly bite people. Yes, this servant understands. You die, and the others quickly nodded. Qing, who took the money to the small kitchen and came back to report, "Big miss, official one has come to visit and is waiting in the front hall." Although Wan Ziang and Yi Jioge were very familiar, there was a difference between men and women, so visiting etiquette was still necessary. "Tell him to wait for a moment. I will go down after I change my clothes." Yi Jioge's body was filled with the smell of medicine. Qing, who bowed and went down. Yi Jioge changed his clothes and came to the front hall to see Wan Xing sitting on a chair with a frown. "Big brother Wan, is there something troubling you?" Yi Jioge curiously asked. "This time, I came to tell you something." Wan Ziang brought bad news to Yi Jioge. Chapter 157. When Bai Songling was escorting Yi Jioge, she noticed that many spiritualists who came to participate in the alchemy competition had gone missing. There were more than a dozen of them, and Bai Songling suspected that they were captured by the Bloodlust sect. The Bloodlust sect dares to attack spiritualists so brazenly? How audacious! Yi Jioge frowned. In the past, the Bloodlust sect only dared to capture ordinary people to train. Even if they wanted to deal with spiritualists, they had to do it in secret. Now, they had captured more than a dozen spiritualists. That was insane. Songling has already reported this to the Spiritualist Alliance. They're going to send someone to investigate. Wan Ziang was also shocked by the evil cultivator's generosity. A dozen spiritualists was not a small number. They had to report it to the Spiritualist Alliance. Otherwise, the Spiritualist Alliance might even blame them for hiding the truth. Do you know who they'll send? Yi Jioge was worried that the Spiritualist Alliance would send an arrogant idiot who would drag them down. "I'm not sure." Wan Ziang shook his head. His network wasn't strong enough to infiltrate the Spiritualist Alliance. But don't worry, the Thunder Nation is still our territory. The Spiritualist Alliance is mainly here to investigate. We just need to stabilize ourselves. Wan Ziang had been in the Alliance before and knew how slow they were. However, as long as the Spiritualist Alliance decided that the Bloodlust sect was a scourge, they would issue a kill order and all spiritualists would hunt them down. This was the most important thing. Ancient. Yi Jioge was confident in Wan Ziang's judgment. "This is still a secret. Don't tell anyone else in case they panic." Wan Ziang warned. "Don't worry, I know the severity." "Alright, where's Yiyu? Why hasn't he come to find me?" Yi Jioge hadn't seen Yiyu in 3 days. It was strange. Yiyu found Lu Yunfei outside the city and is looking for her. Wan Ziang said, "Tell him to be careful." Yi Jioge told Wan Ziang about the evil cultivator's aura last night. "Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on the crown prince." Wan Ziang didn't dare to relax. There's no need to keep an eye on him. The crown prince is preparing to scram back to Shangjing. Yi Jioge told him about the competition again. Wan Ziang was shocked, but he quickly smiled. "I believe that once this news spreads, it will be very difficult to keep the position of the crown prince." No one knew better than him how much importance the emperor placed on this alchemy competition. Not only did the crown prince not do his job properly, but he also abused his power to disrupt the competition and made a mess. If the emperor knew about this, he would definitely be furious. Originally, after the news of Dongfang K's recovery had spread, the ministers had always wanted to change the position of the crown prince. Now that the crown prince had handed himself over, it was really frighteningly stupid. Logically speaking, the crown prince shouldn't be so stupid. Based on Yi Jioge's understanding of the crown prince, no matter how much he hated him, he wouldn't joke about the competition. The crown prince's recent actions are indeed somewhat abnormal. Wan Ziang thought for a moment, then said hesitantly, "Could he have also fallen for Su Juanqing's bewitching spell?" "It's possible, then it's really a dog-biting dog, a mouthful of fur," Yi Jioge said with schadenfreude. "Su Juanqing never does useless things. You must not let your guard down. Look after the people around you, in case they are used by him." Although Wan Ziang had never met Su Juanqing face to face, he knew that his bewitching spell was very powerful. When Yi Jioga heard this, his heart jumped, and he hurriedly called Yu Dai in. Is Hua Dai back yet? Not yet. Yu Dai also had an anxious expression. Hua Dai had left early in the morning. No matter how slow she was, she should have returned by now. Big brother Wan, I have a personal servant girl who went out this morning and hasn't returned yet. Can I trouble you to help me look for her? Yi Jioga had a very bad feeling. Okay, I'll send someone to look for her now. Wan Ziang immediately ordered his subordinates to investigate the pastry shop where Hua Dai had bought hawthorn cakes from. Unfortunately, Wan Ziang's subordinates had led the soldiers to the street where the pastry shop was located, but no one had seen Hua Dai. It was very obvious that this little servant girl had gone missing. When Yu Dai heard this news, she immediately burst into tears. She kept muttering that it would have been better if she had stopped Hua Dai from going out. Qing Hu and Qing Lu were also very anxious. Yi Rui's mood was even worse. Her hands were clenched so tightly that they were about to become two fried dough twists. Hua Dai's disappearance made her recall the days in the Black Cellar. The girls who were tortured and killed by the heretic cultivator were all of the same age as Hua Dai. Yi Jioga was the calmest out of all of them. As she comforted Yi Rui's emotions, she ordered Wan Ziang to continue his search. If she's alive, I want to see her. If she's dead, I want to see her corpse. I don't believe that she would disappear in Alchemy City all by herself, Yi Jioga said fiercely. Don't worry, I will definitely get to the bottom of this, Wan Ziang nodded. In the dead of night, the alchemy tower was completely silent. A cold breeze blew past, scattering frost on the floor. Yi Jioga was not in the mood to cultivate. She laid on the bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. The news of Hua Dai's disappearance was like a stone pressing on her chest. She had always been searching for the heretic cultivator, but in the end, the heretic cultivator took away her personal servant. To her, this was simply a provocation. At this moment, a strange aura floated in from the window. Yi Jioga opened her eyes and silently sat up. She opened her spiritual eye to look outside the window. She saw a faint purple light coming in from the window. It was a purple scorpion the size of a fist. It was swaggering around the room. Yi Jioga lifted the curtains to take a closer look. She discovered that there was a small golden earring tied to the scorpion's body. It even had the word, flower, written on it. She immediately knew that this purple scorpion was related to Hua Dai's disappearance. The purple scorpion felt Yi Jioga's gaze. It suddenly raised its tail and shot a faint purple poison needle towards Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga raised her hand to deflect the poison needle. A purple light shrouded the purple scorpion. The purple scorpion saw that the situation was not good. It immediately turned and ran. Its speed was as fast as lightning. Yi Jioga did not have time to think and subconsciously chased after it. After the purple scorpion left the alchemy tower, it made a few turns before arriving at a rocky hill in the outskirts. Then, its figure flashed and it entered the tallest pile of rocks. Yi Jioga stopped in her tracks. She activated her spiritual energy and shot a purple lightning at the pile of rocks. With a boom, the pile of rocks flew in all directions. It revealed a black hole in the ground. The night wind blew past. A thick smell of blood floated in from the hole. Yi Jioga's heart immediately jumped to her throat. She walked step by step to the hole. The white bone flame appeared from her fingers and lit up the hole. She looked carefully. Her eyes instantly widened and she could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Chapter 158. A skinned female corpse was tossed in the gloomy underground cave. The bloody red flesh was extremely shocking. His cracked eye sockets and dilated pupils were filled with deep resentment, making one shudder in fear. Yi Jioga felt a chill. She endured the nausea and looked at the female corpse's skull. There was a hole at the fontanelle. It was a sign that the spiritual root had been dug out. She was not a flower butterfly with spiritual roots. However, this female corpse was too miserable. Yi Jioga could not recognize who it was. She used her white bone flame to light up the cave. She found that there were more than 10 corpses behind the skinned female corpse. Although they were wearing different clothes, they were all sucked dry of blood. They should be the pill refiners that went missing. Yi Jioga's heart was beating fast. She felt inexplicably uneasy. That purple scorpion was undoubtedly the spiritual pet of the heretic cultivator. What did it want to do by leading her to this cave? Yi Jioga carefully looked at the cave, trying to find the location of the purple scorpion. Suddenly, the sharp sound of a spiritual arrow piercing through the air came from behind her. She immediately turned and formed a seal. The spiritual energy in her body surged, forming a purple barrier, blocking the green spiritual arrow. The green spiritual arrow turned into spiritual energy and disappeared in the air. In the next second, a light green figure landed in front of her. The person was handsome, slender, and had a green 7-leaf clover on his chest, representing his identity in Alchemy City. It was Dongfang Yao's head disciple, Li Zijuan. Li Zijuan, why did you sneak attack me? Yi Jioga asked unkindly. I thought you were a heretic cultivator. Li Zijuan's gaze fell on the cave behind Yi Jioga. His expression changed. He said in disbelief, You killed these people? Of course not. Yi Jioga immediately denied. She was about to explain, but there was a commotion from afar. A group of soldiers holding torches quickly approached them. The one in front was wearing a golden embroidered 5-clawed dragon. It was the crown prince, Dongfang Jiaming. Beside him was Yi Shanshan, but there was no trace of Su Junqing. When the crown prince reached the pile of rocks, he immediately ordered the soldiers to surround Yi Jioga. It was as if he was going to capture a large beast. Crown Prince, what is the meaning of this? When Yi Jioga saw the crown prince's formation, he realized that this was a trap set up by him. Otherwise, it would not have been so coincidental. Yi Jioga, I want to ask you what you mean. The crown prince looked at the hole behind Yi Jioga. The blazing torch illuminated the entire pile of rubble, and the situation at the entrance of the underground cave was also clear at a glance. When Yi Shanshan saw the female corpse in the hole, she immediately covered her mouth and widened her eyes. She was so scared that her face turned pale. Third Miss Gong. The crown prince cried out before viciously looking at Yi Jioga and saying, You deranged woman, you actually dared to act so viciously against Third Miss Gong. How do you know that this female corpse is Third Miss Gong? Yi Jioga raised his eyebrows. I found a letter in Third Miss Gong's room. The letter said that you used the law to restore her qualification and let her come to the pile of rocks alone. I didn't expect you to lead her to death. The crown prince was so distressed that he couldn't even continue to speak. I didn't send a letter to Third Miss Gong. It was because my personal maid, Hua Dai, was kidnapped. A purple scorpion with her earring led me here, which was why I found these corpses. Yi Jioga explained. Yi Jioga, you still dare to quibble at this point? Your maid, Hua Dai, wasn't kidnapped. She escaped on her own and came to us for help. She had long since discovered your true identity as an evil cultivator, but she didn't dare to expose it. Only when she heard that you were going to make a move against Third Miss Gong did she run out. I didn't think that we would still be one step too late. The crown prince had a regretful expression. Wu, big sister Hong Yu, you died so miserably. Yi Shanshan covered her mouth and sobbed. Those who didn't know better would think that she had lost her mother. What did you say? Hua Dai is with you? This news was completely out of Yi Jioga's expectations. Young Lady Yi, your personal maid accused you of being an evil cultivator who specialized in sucking human blood to cultivate. Not only did you kidnap contestants from Alchemy City, but you also tried to kill Third Miss Gong. Do you have any explanation for this? Li Zijuan asked. Zijuan, the evidence and witnesses are here. What is there to explain? Hurry up and capture this murderous evil cultivator. The crown prince was flustered and exasperated. Although this isn't the first or second time your highness has falsely accused me, this time you're even using me as a scapegoat for evil cultivators. I don't know what benefits you've received from them. Yi Jioga narrowed his eyes and spoke with a voice as cold as ice. You said that my personal maid, Hua Dai, accused me of being an evil cultivator. Call her out and confront her. The crown prince turned around and commanded, Yi Jioga, you really won't shed a tear until you see your coffin. Someone bring Hua Dai out. Soon after, 2 soldiers brought a petite girl from the back of the group. She had large eyes and a small round face. It was Hua Dai's appearance. Hua Dai's eyelids drooped and didn't dare to look at Yi Jioge. Hua Dai, don't be afraid. Tell everyone what you said today. The Crown Prince spoke with confidence. Young lady, she's not human. She's a blood-sucking evil cultivator. She killed many people in order to cultivate. She even said that third Miss Gong always went against her and that she had to peel off her skin and dig out her spirit root to appease her hatred. Hua Dai's voice and body trembled uncontrollably. Yi Jioge stared at Hua Dai and spoke word by word. Since you have the guts to falsely accuse me, why don't you have the guts to look at me? Young lady, please don't kill me. Hua Dai knelt down with her head touching the floor in fear. If you're really Hua Dai, then I won't kill you. Yi Jioge's eyes turned cold. She didn't believe that the chattering maid would betray her. Unless she was under Su Juanqing's bewitching spell. Or perhaps this wasn't Hua Dai at all, but a fake. Hua Dai, don't be afraid. With me here, Yi Jioge can't touch you. The Crown Prince stepped forward and blocked Hua Dai. He pointed at Yi Jioge and shouted, Yi Jioge, you bloody and cruel evil cultivator. You killed so many people for the sake of cultivating evil techniques. Hurry up and surrender. Your Highness, if I'm really an evil cultivator, can't Master Dongfang tell? Yi Jioge looked at Li Zijuan and said, evil cultivators all have evil energy and can't hide it from people with higher cultivation. Master Dongfang is a spirit master. Do you think I can hide it from him? Li Zijuan obviously didn't dare to say that his master was wrong. However, the Crown Prince had Gong Hongyu's will and Yi Jioge's maid as a witness. Yi Jioge was indeed suspicious. At this moment, Yi Shanshan suddenly stood up and said firmly, Seniorly, although I can't prove that Big Sister is the murderer, I can prove that she is indeed cultivating evil techniques. Chapter 159. Li Zijuan probably didn't expect Yi Shanshan to testify against her sister. He was stunned for a moment before asking, what evidence does second Miss Yi have? Senior brother Li, everyone in Shangjing knows that my big sister was seriously ill in the past. Her meridians were all broken and she couldn't cultivate. She was ugly and dull. But some time ago, she suddenly said that she had a fortuitous encounter in the abyss. Not only did her meridians recover, but her cultivation also skyrocketed. In just 3 months, she became a level 2 spirit pill master. Even her appearance became extremely beautiful. Other than cultivating evil arts, I can't think of any other fortuitous encounter that could make her change so much. Yi Shanshan said word by word. It could be seen that she had prepared these words in her mind before saying them. It had to be said that her words were very convincing. Even Li Zijuan felt that it was very plausible. He couldn't help but frown. His gaze fell on Yi Jioge's face. 3 years ago, because he admired Master Yun, he had met Yi Jioge in private. At that time, Yi Jioge was indeed ugly. She was timid and couldn't even speak clearly. But the Yi Jioge in front of him was so beautiful, like a snow lotus blooming in the dark night. Even if she was surrounded and attacked, her limpid eyes were still so firm, revealing a proud and peerless sharpness. She was indeed a different person from before. Second sister's words are indeed reasonable. But if I really was an evil cultivator, the first person I would kill would be you. Although your blood must be unbearably stinky, it's not bad to feed it to the dogs. Yi Jioge's beautiful eyes were as clear as water, but the light that flashed through them was extremely cold, like an abyss that made people's hearts tremble. Yi Shanshan was creeped out by Yi Jioge's gaze and immediately hid behind the Crown Prince. Yi Jioge, you still don't know how to repent. How dare you threaten Shanshan in front of me? Do you really think that you can cover the sky with one hand? The Crown Prince immediately stood up. I'm innocent. Why should I repent? The one who wants to cover the sky with one hand is you. Yi Jioge sneered. The Crown Prince was so angry that his face turned red, but he knew that he was no match for Yi Jioge in a verbal battle, so he turned to Li Zijuan and said, Zijuan, both the witness and the material evidence are here. Yi Jioge is the murderer. We must immediately put her in prison, otherwise it will be difficult to explain to the Gong family. Previously, the Crown Prince was disliked by Dongfang Yao, so he wanted to curry favor with Li Zijuan. Otherwise, he would have already ordered for Yi Jioge to be captured. When Li Zijuan thought of the Gong family, he couldn't help but have a headache. Although Gong Hongyu was only the daughter of a branch family, she was still a member of the Gong family. She came to participate in the Thunder Country's alchemy competition, but in the end, she died a tragic death in Alchemy City. No matter what, Alchemy City couldn't be separated from this matter. They had to give them an explanation. Li Zijuan sighed and said to Yi Jioge, "Miss Yi, now that we have the witness and the material evidence, you are the biggest suspect. Please cooperate with the investigation. If you are really innocent, we will definitely give you an explanation." Yi Jioge's thoughts raced. She knew that it was impossible for her to escape from this situation. Since Li Zijuan's attitude was quite good, she might as well give him some face and go with him. She glanced at the shivering Hua Dai hiding behind the soldiers before speaking to Li Zijuan. "I can go with you, but Hua Dai cannot be left with the crown prince. Hand her over to Wan Ziang." The crown prince immediately objected. "Who doesn't know that Wan Ziang has an affair with you? How can Hua Dai be left alive in his hands?" Yi Jioge narrowed her eyes at the crown prince before slowly speaking to Li Zijuan. "The events of the alchemy competition are still fresh in our minds. You should be well aware of the crown prince's character. I don't trust someone like him to investigate the heretical cultivators. Who knows if he has an affair with them or not?" "Bullshit. How could I have anything to do with heretical cultivators? Don't slander me." The crown prince almost jumped out of his seat. Li Zijuan recalled the crown prince's manipulation of the alchemy competition and felt that he was an unreliable person, so he said, "This matter happened in Alchemy City, so I have the responsibility to thoroughly investigate this matter. I will personally send someone to watch over Hua Dai." "Zijuan!" the crown prince shouted, but after seeing Li Zijuan's determined expression, he could only shut his mouth. "Then you have to keep an eye on Hua Dai. Otherwise, after she is killed, they will blame it on me." Yi Jioge glanced at the crown prince with a clear hint of meaning. "Of course." Li Zijuan nodded. He had his people watch over Hua Dai before speaking to Yi Jioge. "Let's go." "What about the corpses?" Yi Jioge didn't move. "I will send someone to deal with them later." Li Zijuan's expression was calm. It was clear that he wasn't going to do this himself. Yi Jioge frowned. These corpses were killed by a heretical cultivator, so there must be many clues left on them. It would be inappropriate to deal with them rashly. I suggest that you find a professional coroner or spirit doctor to take a look. "You're right." Li Zijuan had a whole new level of respect for Yi Jioge. A normal person would be confused in her situation, but her thoughts were clear. She didn't seem like a murderer at all. Hypocrite." The crown prince laughed disdainfully and said to Li Zijuan, "Zijuan, don't be bewitched by this witch. Heretical cultivators are best at bewitching people. She said all this to deceive you. In my opinion, we should quickly take care of third Miss Gong's corpse, so that the Gong family won't be disappointed. Yes, the dead are already dead. We should not mess with their corpses anymore." Yi Shanshan said sorrowfully. Li Zijuan suddenly hesitated. At this moment, another group of people came from the darkness. It was Wan Ziang who had received the news and rushed over. When he saw Yi Jioge surrounded by the crown prince, he immediately asked unkindly, "What is going on?" "Yi Jioge cultivates heretical arts. She killed people and drank their blood. The evidence is conclusive. We are going to take her to the prison for interrogation." The crown prince spoke first. "That's impossible." Wan Ziang firmly denied. "Anyone can be a heretical cultivator, but not Yi Jioge. How do you know it's impossible? Are you the real murderer?" The crown prince's attitude was aggressive. Just as Wan Ziang was about to argue, he was interrupted by Yi Jioge. "Big brother Wan, His Highness the crown prince is determined to falsely accuse me. No matter what you say to him, it's useless. It's better to quickly find evidence to prove my innocence." Gong Hongyu's will and Hua Dai's testimony were very unfavorable to her, not to mention Yi Shanshan's interference. In this situation, only by finding the real murderer could she prove her innocence. Wan Ziang immediately calmed down and his eyes quickly became clear. Seeing that he had calmed down, Yi Jioge said seriously, "Brother Wan, There is something wrong with the corpse in the cave. Chapter 160. There's something strange about the corpse at the cave entrance. As Yi Joga spoke, his gaze drifted toward the crown princess. There was a meaningful look on his face. She said this to trick the crown prince to see how he would react. As expected, the crown prince's eyes flickered. Previously, when Su Junqing told him that he wanted to use Gong Hongyu to deal with Yi Jioga, he did not know that this matter was related to the evil cultivator. To be honest, he was also scared when he saw so many corpses at the entrance of the cave. But now that he was riding a tiger, it was hard to get off. He could only brace himself to the end and kill Yi Jioga first. In any case, he wouldn't let Wan Xiang and the others off. It didn't matter even if they discovered something. The crown prince calmed himself down and said to Li Zijuan, "Zijuan, leave the corpses to Lord Wan to deal with. We should hurry up and bring Yi Jioga back in case something goes wrong again." Li Zijuan couldn't help but look at Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga calmly said, "I still have 2 things to tell Brother Wan. I'll leave after that." The crown prince strongly objected. "All right." Li Zijuan nodded in agreement. "Speak." Wan Xiang walked to Yi Jioga's side. "The first thing." Yi Jioga told her the reason why he appeared at the pile of rocks tonight, and used the purple scorpion to vaguely mention the butterfly's abnormality. "The second thing." She hoped that Wan Xiang could send someone to protect Yu Rui and Yu Dai. The crown prince and the heretic cultivators of the bloodthirsty sect had set up this trap to drag her into it. She was afraid that the people around her would be killed. "I've already sent people to the Flying Frost Pavilion." The moment Wan Xiang found out that something had happened to Yi Jioga, he immediately sent his elite troops to protect Yu Rui and the others. "Thank you." Yi Jioga heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that Wan Xiang was reliable. Who would have thought that Wan Xiang would reveal a look of hesitation? Yi Jioga's heart immediately jumped and he quickly asked, "What's wrong? Did something happen?" "It's not a big deal. It's just that your medicine tester has disappeared. I've sent people to look for him, but they couldn't find any trace of him." Although Wan Xiang felt that the tester was not that important, he still had to mention it. "So be it," Yi Jioga said disapprovingly. In any case, she had only saved the tester out of morality. I don't think it's gone, but you ate it." The crown prince said maliciously, "At that time, I was wondering why you would be so kind as to use the elixir to save someone. So it was to use him for cultivation." "Your Highness the Crown Prince, please be careful with your words before finding out the truth. Otherwise, it would be bad if the Emperor heard about it." Wan Xiang looked at the Crown Prince with a sharp gaze. "Wan Xiang, are you threatening me?" The Crown Prince raged. "I'm just speaking the truth." Wan Xiang had never put the Crown Prince in his eyes before, and now he wouldn't be polite to him. "Wan Xing, how dare you insult the imperial family? Do you really think that I don't dare to punish you?" The Crown Prince's face was red with anger. He was about to order the arrest of Wan Xiang, but was stopped by Li Zijuan. "Your Highness, please calm down. The most important thing now is to investigate the case of the evil cultivator." Li Zijuan's words were meant to smooth things over, but in the Crown Prince's ears, it was as if his face was nothing. Yi Jioga coldly added, "Big brother Wan, senior brother Li is right. The most important thing now is to investigate the evil cultivator. If a mad dog wants to bark, let it be." The Crown Prince's expression was frighteningly gloomy. He clenched his fists so tightly that his nails pierced into his flesh. When he sits on the throne, he will definitely make these damned fellows look good. Li Zijuan didn't notice the Crown Prince's abnormality. He helplessly said to Yi Jioga, "Miss Yi, since you've finished explaining, let's go." But Yi Jioga cooperated and left with Li Zijuan. Wan Xiang stood in place and silently watched Yi Jioga leave. He saw her slender figure surrounded by a group of soldiers. It was very eye-catching, revealing a feeling of desolation. Yi Jioga was so strong, nothing would happen to her. Wan Xiang took a deep breath and quickly calmed his mind. He took his people to the entrance of the cave. He looked through the pile of rocks, but unfortunately, he didn't find the purple scorpion that Yi Jioga mentioned. But this was also within his expectations, so he wasn't discouraged. He continued to look through the corpses in the cave. These spirit practitioners' corpses had all been dug out. But apart from Gong Hongyu, who had been skinned, the other corpses had all their cultivation blood sucked dry. Gong Hongyu's corpse was very fresh. The wall beside her had spots of bright red blood, as if it had been splashed not too long ago. These spots of blood were very orderly, and it seemed that the deceased didn't have any signs of struggle. Wan Ziang deduced that Gong Hongyu was very likely killed elsewhere before being brought here to be skinned. As for the corpses that had their cultivation blood sucked dry, the stiffness of their muscles was different, and the time of death was also different. Wan Ziang carefully searched for a long time. Finally, he found a thin layer of red clay on the soles of these corpses. Gong Hongyu's soles also had it, which meant that they had been to the same place. As long as he found the source of this red clay, he would be able to find the place where they died. In order to confirm his guess, Wan Ziang decided to go out of the city and investigate. But before he left the city, he wrote all the information he found on a letter and gave it to Li Zijuan, asking him to pass it to Yi Jioge. At this time, Yi Jioge was locked up in the Jodan Pavilion at the very end of Alchemy City. Although the Crown Prince strongly requested that Yi Jioge be locked up in the prison, Li Zijuan, after consulting his master, placed Yi Jioge under house arrest in his master's private territory. The Crown Prince was very angry about this and kept shouting that he would find Dongfang Yao to clarify things. Unfortunately, ever since Dongfang Yao drove the Crown Prince back to Shangjing in front of everyone, he had never seen him. Now, he used his old headache as an excuse to refuse to see anyone. The Crown Prince wanted to clear his name, but he didn't have the chance. He could only pester Li Zijuan every day, asking him to deal with Yi Jioge impartially as soon as possible. Li Zijuan was about to vomit blood from the Crown Prince's pestering. Recently, a series of bad events had happened in Alchemy City. Even the competition had to be suspended. Logically speaking, his master should have come out to take charge. But the old man despised his eldest disciple for only focusing on alchemy and turning himself stupid. He used the excuse that he needed to train Li Zijuan and pushed everything to him. Li Zijuan simply used a chicken feather as an arrow and used his master's mouth to forbid anyone from visiting Yi Jioge. Whether it was the Crown Prince, Yi Shanshan, Yi Rui, or Wan Ziang, they all refused. Wan Ziang had to spend quite a bit of effort before Li Zijuan agreed to help him pass the letter. Chapter 161. When Wan Ziang's letter was delivered, Yi Jioge was staring at the purple mark on his hand. Zi Shang had been in a deep sleep ever since he ate the shape-shifting bead. He hadn't moved at all, so Yi Jioge didn't know when he would appear. Without a demon snake by his side to ridicule, these days were really unbearably lonely. Yi Jioge sighed, touched the smooth mark, and then began to read the letter sent by Wan Xing. Just as Wan Ziang was about to leave the city to search for the red clay mark, a thunderous voice came from outside. Yi Jioge, get out here. Yi Jioge was shocked, and the letter in his hand fell to the ground. Jodan Pavilion was Dongfang Yao's private territory, and outsiders were forbidden from entering. Even the servants who delivered food were mute. Why did such a loud voice suddenly appear? Yi Jioge listened carefully, and realized that after the loud voice finished shouting, there was a loud voice. Li Zijuan's warning and the Crown Prince's sowing discord sounded at the same time. Brother Honglei, calm down. Before we find out the truth, we can't be sure that Yi Jioge is the murderer. Brother Honglei, you read 3rd Miss Gong's will. There's no one else besides Yi Jioge. Yi Jioge, get out here. The person's voice was even more violent, and he was getting closer and closer to Yi Jioge's house. Yi Jioge calmly put away Wan Ziang's letter, tidied up his appearance, and opened the door to take a look. There was a group of people standing at the end of the path. At the front was a violent-looking youth with a long sword on his back, and he was charging towards her aggressively. The Crown Prince was on his left, and he looked as if his plan had succeeded. Li Zijuan was on his right, and he was still trying to persuade the youth. Brother Honglei, calm down. The youth rushed in front of Yi Jioge like a whirlwind, and sized Yi Jioge up with his large eyes. He asked fiercely, "You're Hong Yu's murderer?" "Senior Li, who is he? Why is he slandering me the moment he rushed in?" Yi Jioge glanced at the youth, and looked at Li Zijuan. "This is Gong Honglei, the emissary from the Spiritualist Alliance. He's also third Miss Gong's brother. Li Zijuan sighed and looked at Yi Jioge with worry. Master's banner could stop the crown prince, but it couldn't stop the alliance's emissary who wanted to avenge his sister. Yi Jioge snorted coldly. Her beautiful eyes flickered with a sharp light as she looked Gong Honglei up and down rudely and said disdainfully, "It seems that the emissary of the Spiritualist Alliance is only Zi." "What do you mean?" Gong Honglei's eyes widened. He looked like he was going to draw his sword at any moment. "The Alliance sent you to investigate the evil cultivator murder, but you abused your power to punish me. Is this how the Spiritualist Alliance does things?" Yi Jioge's voice wasn't loud, but it was filled with pressure. It made Gong Honglei speechless. Seeing that the situation was bad, the crown prince immediately jumped out and said, "Yi Jioge, you killed someone else's little sister and still dare to say such words. You're going too far." The crown prince looked at Gong Honglei and said, "Brother Honglei, this is a crazy evil cultivator. You'd better kill her quickly to avenge your sister." "Dongfang Jianming, you keep saying that I killed Gong Hongyu. Did you see me kill her with your own eyes? Or did you see me suck human blood to practice evil arts?" Yi Jioge interrupted the crown prince's words and shouted, "Don't use the suicide note to talk to that girl, Hua Dai. The suicide note can be forged and Hua Dai can be bribed. Unless you can show other evidence, shut up." "Yi Jioge, this evidence is enough. It's useless for you to quibble. There's no one else but you." The crown prince insisted. "I haven't gone out since I came to Alchemy City from Shangjing. May I ask where I got the time to kidnap people and kill people?" Yi Jioge was not afraid of the crown prince at all. "You don't have time, but your accomplices do. Bai Songling has been loitering outside Alchemy City. Wan Ziang has also left the city. Maybe he's preparing to escape because his plan has been exposed." A cold light flashed in the crown prince's eyes. He wanted to catch Wan Ziang and Bai Songling in one fell swoop. "According to what you're saying, pharmacist Dongfang and senior brother Li placed me here are also evil cultivators?" Yi Jioge raised his eyebrows and looked at Gong Honglei. "The crown prince has been bewitched. Other than him, the others are evil cultivators. I advise you to find more people from the alliance to catch them. You're twisting words and forcing logic." The crown prince raised his voice. Before Yi Jioge could reply, Gong Honglei had already shouted, "All of you, shut up." He was dizzy from the noise. The thought of rushing in to kill Yi Jioge to avenge his sister had inexplicably disappeared. Gong Honglei was sent by the alliance as an emissary. Naturally, he wasn't an incompetent person. It was just that he was too excited after seeing his sister's tragic death that he was provoked by the crown prince. After calming down, he said to Li Zijuan in a serious tone, "No matter what, Yi Jioge is a suspect and should be locked up in prison. Isn't it against the rules to lock her up here? Yi Jioge might be a suspect, but she's also a contestant. Without concrete evidence, it's not good to lock her up in prison. In the end, she's still a weak girl." Li Zijuan really couldn't bear to lock the flower like Yi Jioge up in a cold and damp prison. So what if she's a girl? A suspect should be locked up in prison. Gong Honglei only had one thing to say. He didn't need to kill Yi Jioge right now, but he couldn't let a suspect lie comfortably in the courtyard. "Yi Jioge is a weak girl. Zijuan, you must be blind." The crown prince had been tricked by Yi Jioge so many times. He had never seen a woman more valiant than her. Emissary Gong is right. If that's the case, then lock me up in prison. Yi Jioge calmly said. It didn't matter where she was locked up anyways. There was no need to make things difficult for Li Zijuan over such a small matter. Fine. Li Zijuan apologetically glanced at Yi Jioge. In the end, under the supervision of Gong Honglei and the crown prince, Yi Jioge was brought to Alchemy City's prison. There weren't many people in Alchemy City's prison. Most of them were thieves who stole medicinal plants, so the prison wasn't very gloomy. Li Zijuan had already ordered people to clean up the single cell. Not only was it covered in the best silk mattress, but there was even a bright pink plate of Yi Lai Xiang in the corner. Gong Honglei and the crown prince were a bit dissatisfied with the prison's environment, but they didn't make a fuss about it. They only said that they were worried about the prison's defenses. In order to prevent Yi Jiuge from escaping, they sent their own guards. Li Zijuan couldn't argue with them, so he could only agree in the end. Chapter 162. In the dead of night, the prison was pitch black. Only a few oil lamps covered in dust flickered dimly on the walls. Yi Jiuge was curled up in the small cell. Her eyes were tightly shut, and her long eyelashes hung down like a row of thick fans. Her breathing was very steady, as if she had already entered the land of dreams. The bright pink tuberose in the corner was quietly blooming, emitting a rich fragrance. The prison was quiet. The guards on duty were clearly separated from the people sent by the crown prince. They were leaning against the wall and napping. Suddenly, a light blue smoke floated in through the crack of the door and quickly spread in all directions. The guard who was napping went limp and fell to the ground. The others also fell to the ground like dumplings. The iron door of the prison creaked open. 5 black-clothed people nimbly entered the prison. After taking the key from the guard, they went straight to the small cell Yi Jiuge was in. Just as they were about to open the door of the small cell, a cold voice suddenly sounded. "Who goes there?" The leader of the black-clothed people took a step back and signaled for his subordinates to light a torch. A bright light sprang up, illuminating the entire small cell. They saw Yi Jiuge, who was supposed to be sleeping, standing in the corner. Dressed in green, she was slender and elegant. Her appearance was stunning and incomparably elegant. Her limpid eyes were so clear that it seemed as if she had never slept. "Miss Yi, we were sent by Lord Wan and Lord Bai to save you. The crown prince wants to kill you. Please come with us," the leader of the black-clothed people said as he tried to open the large lock of the cell. He didn't expect a purple light with lightning to fall on the large lock. If the black-clothed people hadn't withdrawn their hands quickly, they would have been struck by this lightning. "Miss, what do you mean by this?" The black-clothed people looked up at Yi Jiuge. Their low voice was filled with anxiety and disbelief. Yi Jiuge hid the purple light in her hands and said to the black-clothed people with a smile that wasn't a smile, "Go back and tell Lord Wan and Lord Bai that I won't leave the prison before this matter is clearly investigated. You'll die if you don't leave." The black-clothed man spoke hurriedly, as if in the next moment, the crown prince would rush in and drag Yi Jiuge out for interrogation. Yi Jiuge said slowly, "Dongfang Jianming doesn't dare to kill me because he wants to keep me as a shield so that the real evil cultivator can kill more spiritualists to practice. So, you can go back without worry and let Sir Wan and Sir Bai investigate the crown prince, Su Junqing, and the evil cultivator of the bloodthirsty sect." If Yi Jiuge really believed that this group of men in black was sent by Wan Zieng, then he would really be as stupid as Dongfang Jianming. The leader frowned when he heard Yi Jiuge's words, but he quickly recovered and said anxiously, "Eldest lady, I don't know anything about the crown prince or the evil cultivator. I only know that Lord Wan and Lord Bai asked me to save you, so I have to take you away." Yi Jiuge's fingers caressed the pink petals of the fragrant night lily. Her face was even more beautiful than a blooming flower, but the words that came out of her cherry lips were extremely rude. "What if I say no? Then I will have to offend you." The leader's eyes flashed with a cold light. He cut the iron chain with a knife, kicked the door open, and rushed in. Yi Jiuge raised her finger slightly, and her fingertips lit up with purple spiritual power. She was about to flick out the lightning spiritual power and the sleeping powder. Unexpectedly, the man in black at the back suddenly raised his knife and very neatly put down all his companions. Internal strife, interesting. Yi Jiuge held back her spiritual power, and her beautiful eyes fell on the man in black, wanting to see what he was doing. The man in black pulled off his mask, revealing a dark and handsome face with a bit of wild nature. A pair of eyes flashed with a sharp light like a wolf. It turned out to be the medicine tester who disappeared. "You are also the crown prince's man?" Yi Jiuge raised her eyebrows and said with a little admiration, "Then you are really ruthless." One had to know that the medicine tester's heart meridian was really broken, and he was seriously injured and could die at any moment. "No, I don't know any crown prince." The medicine tester's voice was a little hoarse, but it was surprisingly pleasant to hear. However, his accent was definitely not from the Thunder Country, but rather from the southern frontier. "Then why did you come find me, to repay a debt of gratitude. If that was the case, then this guy was quite loyal. This group of men in black was definitely sent by the crown prince. To be able to sneak in meant that he had some skill. The medicine tester shook his head honestly. This slap in the face was a little painful. Yi Jioga was a little unhappy, and her expression slightly darkened. If you are not here to repay a debt of gratitude, then let's calculate the medical fees. Grandmaster Dongfang's third-level heart-nourishing pill is worth 10,000 gold, and my medical fee is also 10,000 gold. Hand over the money. I have no money. The medicine tester continued to shake his head. Then what are you here for? Yi Jioga narrowed her eyes and looked at the medicine tester's strong body. If this guy dared to tease her, then she would make him pay with his body. My master wants to discuss a business deal with you. The medicine tester solemnly said. Who is your master? Yi Jioga couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. The current situation in Alchemy City was so chaotic, yet there were still people who didn't fear death and dared to come in. She really wanted to get to know them. He said that you will understand once you see this. The medicine tester raised his hand and opened his palm. With a wave of his sleeve, a blood-red, winged poisonous earth dragon parasite with a mouth full of sharp teeth scuttled out. Its long body coiled in the medicine tester's palm, and its small eyes stared unkindly at Yi Jioga. This poisonous earth dragon parasite seemed to be of a higher level than the one Yi Yu had before. Not only was its body blood-red, but even its eyes had grown out. Although those black beady eyes were small, they were incomparably fierce. One could imagine how ferocious it was. Yi Jioga couldn't think of anyone else who could raise such a ferocious insect. I thought he was an orphan? Yi Jioga's words were both a sigh and a test. I was separated from the young master when I escaped. I have been looking for him all these years. The medicine tester paused here before continuing. Not only did you save me, but you also helped the young master greatly. Thus, the young master wants to discuss a business deal with you. The medicine tester's attitude was very serious. In his heart, the way to repay his benefactor was to bring her to his young master to discuss a business deal. If anyone else dared to use this method to repay a favor, Yi Jioga would definitely teach them a lesson. But after seeing the little mute's unsociable nature, she decided to forgive this honest medicine tester. If you want me to go with you, that's fine. But first, you have to answer a few questions. Where did the two of you escape from? Who is chasing you? Why doesn't he speak? Also, where did he learn the art of insect refinement? These questions had piled up in Yi Jioga's heart for a long time. Now that he could say it all in one breath, it was indescribably refreshing. Chapter 163. Can we talk about this after we get out? The medicine tester asked sincerely. Sure. With these answers, Yi Jioga decided to go with him. Although the crown prince would definitely blame the crime of absconding to avoid punishment on her, it did not matter. She couldn't catch Lu Yunfei by staying in this broken prison, so she might as well go out and talk to the little mute. Maybe she could get some unexpected clues. What do you plan to do with these people? The medicine tester kicked the man in black on the ground. These people are just small fries. Just throw them here. Yi Jioga walked out of the small prison and asked the medicine tester, I still don't know your name? Luo Tian. While talking to Yi Jioga, Luo Tian didn't forget to observe the surroundings and quickly brought Yi Jioga out of the prison. The two of them walked along the dark walls to avoid the patrolling guards and finally left Alchemy City. Where are we going next? Yi Jioga looked at the gloomy mountain range. Alchemy City was located in front of two mountain peaks. No matter which direction they went, it was a deep forest. Follow me. Luo Tian walked towards the dense forest in the east. Yi Jioga followed closely behind him and asked in a casual manner, Luo Tian, how did you get into the group of men in black? These men in black were very experienced and seemed to be very experienced. It was impossible that they couldn't recognize their own people. It's a secret. Luo Tian obviously didn't want to answer this question. Then let's talk about the consultation fee. Yi Jioga revealed a hee-hee expression. He was too inexperienced to fight with her. Luo Tian's footsteps stiffened, but he quickly moved again. His hoarse voice revealed a trace of helplessness. I used my natal goo to control them to get in. Natal goo? Are you from the blood-clothed Miao tribe? Yi Jioga looked at Luo Tian in shock. Ever since she met the little mute, she had specially looked up information about raising goo. The best at raising goo was the blood-clothed Miao tribe in the southern border. When each blood-clothed Miao tribe member was born, their parents would choose suitable goo to help them raise. They would use their blood to raise it every day. When the child grew up, they would let them refine the goo into their natal goo. The stronger the natal goo, the stronger the ability of the goo breeder. Some of the more powerful blood-clothed Miao clansmen would even collect different goo worms to raise their natal goo. The natal goo and its master shared the same life. Some natal goo with strong vitality could even strengthen the master's life. Luo Tian nodded. He went around a bush and ran deeper into the forest. Yi Jioga turned around and continued to ask, Then why didn't I see your natal goo when I treated you? My vital goo exhausted all of its power to save me, so it went into hiding to recuperate. Although Luo Tian was reluctant, he still answered. After all, it was thanks to Yi Jioga that his vital goo could recover. So that's how it is. No wonder you were able to survive despite having your heart meridian severed. Yi Jioga didn't ask where Luo Tian's natal goo was hidden. For a goo breeder, the hiding place of the natal goo was his life gate. Asking about it was tantamount to hunting him down. Luo Tian was originally worried that Yi Jioga would continue to ask. Seeing that she had given up, he was relieved. He was not an ungrateful person. He had always remembered Yi Jioga's life-saving grace in his heart. However, to him now, Little Mistress was the most important. No matter what kind of grudge or love, it had to be ranked behind Little Mistress. You blood-clothed Miao clansmen should be very powerful. How could you be hunted down like this? Didn't your clansmen avenge you? Yi Jioga asked curiously. One must know that the blood-clothed Miao clansmen had strange goo techniques. In addition, they had always been protective and vengeful. No one dared to provoke them. Luo Tian was silent for a long time. Then, he said in a deep voice, My clansmen are all dead. Only Little Mistress and I escaped. Yi Jioga was shocked. She couldn't help but ask, Who could kill all of your clansmen? Before Luo Tian could answer, a sharp and ethereal child's voice filled with ruthlessness suddenly sounded in the dark forest. Luotan, don't tell her. Master. Luo Tian immediately stopped. Yi Jioga, on the other hand, raised his head and looked at a pine tree that was so thick that 3 people could wrap their arms around it. Although it was pitch black there, her intuition told her that Little Mute was there. Sure enough, in the next moment, a thin and small black figure floated down from the top of the tree like a falling leaf. It landed in front of Yi Jioga. Blue cotton clothes, dirty sleeves, messy hair, pale little face, big black eyes, and as usual, terrifying as ever. So you can speak. Then why did you pretend to be mute? Even if he wanted to hide his identity, he didn't have to choose such a difficult method. Because humans are too stupid. A proud child's voice sounded. It was obviously Little Mute's reply to Yi Jioga's question. But Yi Jioga looked over. He found that Little Mute, who was supposed to speak, had his mouth tightly shut. His big black eyes were expressionless. That tender little voice sounded like it came from a ghost. To be honest, in this dark forest filled with shadows of trees, this scene was indescribably strange. Those who were timid would die. Little Master's throat can't make sounds. He can only speak through his natal goo. Luo Tian explained. You should feel honored to be able to hear my voice. Such an arrogant voice, coupled with Little Mute's expressionless face, was indescribably strange. Sure enough, Little Mute was right not to speak. Yi Jioga couldn't help but complain. Little Master, this is not the place to talk. Why don't we change places? Luo Tian sincerely suggested. Although they didn't speak loudly, the forest was too quiet. If someone was eavesdropping, it would be hard for them to find out. Okay, follow me. Little Mute turned around and leaped a few times. He brought Yi Jioga to a remote small cave. There were burnt ashes and leftover beast bones in the depths of the cave. It seemed to be Little Mute's temporary residence. After Yi Jioga stood still, he directly asked, Luo Tian said you have a deal to discuss with me? That's right. The proud child's voice sounded again. I will help you deal with the people from Bloodthirsty Sect. 1 life in exchange for 100 bottles of spirit beast pills. That's a good plan of yours. Yi Jioga raised his eyebrows and smiled. Bloodthirsty Sect is also your enemy. You're taking revenge for yourself and you want to settle the score with me? Do you really think I'm a fool? How do you know Bloodthirsty Sect is our enemy? The proud child's voice was both surprised and angry. Then he roared at Luo Tian irritably, You told her? I didn't, Luo Tian said helplessly. She tricked you. That's right, Yi Jioga was tricking him. Chapter 164. You dare lie to me? Little Mute was still expressionless, but his arrogant voice was about to explode. I didn't lie to you. Strictly speaking, you're the one who lied to me. Yi Jioga looked at Little Mute with an accusatory gaze and said without any trace of politeness, I provided you with a place to eat and work, I also used spirit beast pills to exchange for insects, and I even saved the life of your subordinates, yet you schemed to cheat me of my spirit beast pills. Who is the one who is sorry? Yi Jioga's words were the truth. Even Luo Tian felt guilty after hearing it, not to mention Little Mute. No matter how unreasonable he was, he had to admit that Yi Jioga was right. If Yi Jioga hadn't let him raise a poison earth dragon and traded spirit beast pills for insect parasites, his life parasite probably wouldn't have awakened yet, let alone come to Alchemy City. Yi Jioga saw that Little Mute had loosened up, so he slowly said, Little Mute, since we have a common enemy, then we can be friends. How about we be honest with each other and speak frankly? If you want spirit beast pills in the future, I can give you a friendship price. Spirit beast pills weren't hard to refine, but they couldn't be given away for free. Little Mute's indifferent face finally showed some emotion. His arrogant voice was no longer as arrogant as before. He asked, How do you want to be honest? First tell me your name. Yi Jioga felt that exchanging names was the first step of friendship. Little Mute hesitated before reluctantly saying, My name is Junichen. Such a refined name didn't match with Little Mute. No wonder he didn't want to call it that. Do you have an opinion on my name? Junichen immediately sensed something was wrong and felt like he was about to explode. No, not at all. Yi Jioga shook her head and decisively changed the topic. I was thinking, you red-clothed Miao people are so powerful, why were you killed by Bloodthirsty Sect? Junichen kept a straight face and didn't make a sound. His black eyes were like 2 black holes, emitting a ruthless and dark aura. It was clear that this memory was very painful to him, so painful that he could go berserk at any time. Yi Jioga suddenly regretted bringing up Junichen's sad memories. She was about to change the topic when Junichen said coldly, Luoren, speak. Luo Tian answered and then said, The bloodthirsty ancestor of the Bloodthirsty Sect is a sinister and cunning man. We don't know where he got a kind of spiritual poison that can restrain our Gu technique. He poisoned our drinking water when we were worshipping the Gu god and killed us when we lost our power. Although Luo Tian's words were very simple, the stench of blood contained within still assaulted Yi Jioga. However, what Yi Jioga could not figure out was, why would the people from the Bloodthirsty Sect attack the Blood Cloak Miao tribe? The Bloodthirsty Sect used blood as their cultivation method. The blood-clothed Miao clansmen used their own bodies to raise Gu. Their blood was not pure, they should not have become their target. Luo Tian hesitated for a moment, but in the end he still revealed the secret of the blood-clothed Miao tribe. So it turned out that their blood-clothed Miao people branch was split off from the southern border. They found a small spirit vein in a mountain peak and set up camp there to cultivate and spread their roots. After more than 100 years of operation, the blood-clothed Miao tribe cultivated the Spider King from the demonic beast Snow Spider. Every generation's leader would sign a contract with the Spider King, asking for its protection. Junichen was the son of the previous generation's leader, and was also the most talented genius in raising Gu in the blood-clothed Miao tribe. At such a young age, he had already cultivated his natal Gu to the 5th level. The blood-clothed Miao tribe had high hopes for him, hoping that he could truly subdue the Spider King. Originally, Jun Ichen and the Spider King had already cultivated a good relationship and had started to slowly feed it with blood. Just as he was about to sign a contract with the Spider King, he did not expect an unexpected disaster to befall him. The bloodthirsty ancestor brought his subordinates to attack their camp, and not only did they forcibly occupy the spirit vein, they even imprisoned the Spider King. I see. Yi Jioge was curious before, where did the Empress get the king poison of the snow spider to harm Dongfang, Quebec? One must know that the snow spider king lived in the wasteland continent at the eastern border. That was the territory of the demon race, and spiritualists entering there were simply courting death. Now, she finally knew that it was from the blood-clothed Miao tribe. Alright, I have answered your question honestly. How do you intend to give me the friendship price for the spirit beast pill? Jun Yichen's arrogant voice hid a trace of impatience. Tell me first, what can you use to buy my spirit beast pill? Yi Jioge looked like she was willing to negotiate. I can help you refine goo. Jun Yichen's voice was arrogant and confident. This place is not Miaojiang. Yi Jioge expressed that there was no market for goo refinement in a spiritualist territory. I can help you kill people. Jun Yichen's voice started to show some hesitation. The people I want to kill are no longer in this world. Yi Jioge expressed that he had a hand and a knife. He did not need anyone else. What do you want? The little tsundere finally exploded. I just want to ask, what can you use to buy my spirit beast pill? Yi Jioge spread his hands, looking innocent. Just as Jun Yichen was about to pounce on Yi Jioge and bite her to death, Luo Tian spoke. Miss Yi, when I escaped with the little master, we had nothing except ourselves. Then sell yourselves to me. This was Yi Jioge's goal, but he could not say it so bluntly in case they turned hostile. Thus, Yi Jioge changed his method and asked, Then what do you plan to do? Luo Tian pondered for a moment, then said cautiously, It's true that the bloodthirsty sect is our enemy, but they are now dealing with you and your companions. I believe that no one understands the methods of the bloodthirsty sect better than us. If you need our help, I am willing to work for you for a year as long as you give me a bottle of spirit beast pill. I remember that you still owe me the consultation fee, right? It was not that Yi Jioge did not want to let go of this debt of gratitude, but the blood-clothed Miaojiang tribe was famous for being a weirdo. It was said that after they repaid the debt of gratitude, they would turn hostile and take revenge, just like Gu, they would bite back. Yi Jioge did not want to use the secret method given by Zi Shang to subdue Jun Yichen as a big Gu, so he could only make an issue of the debt of gratitude. He would let them work for a few years, and when he became stronger, it would not matter if they bite back. When Luo Tian heard the two words, consultation fee, he fell silent. That's right, his life was saved by Yi Jioge, and now asking her to use spirit beast pills to hire him was indeed contradictory. You saved him, so his life is yours from now on. Jun Yichen was a person who was clear about his likes and dislikes, selling out his only remaining subordinate with one sentence. Chapter 165. Master. Luo Tian thought he was abandoned. His face immediately turned pale. She treats her subordinates well, you go and work for her, let her use spirit beast pills as a reward, then bring it back to me. Jun Yichen said as a matter of course. During this period of time, he was not only rearing worms, he was also secretly observing Yi Jioge's character. Ever since Yi Jioge used spirit beast pills to help Yi buy worm goo, he knew that Yi Jioge was a good person, very generous to his own people. Yes. Luo Tian heard that his little master did not abandon him, but only wanted him to work for others to earn spirit beast pills. He immediately nodded. Little tsundere, is it really good for you to send your subordinates to my place? Yi Jioge really wanted to complain. After Jun Yichen sold his subordinates, he continued to sell himself. As for me, a bottle of spirit beast pills to help you kill one person, this is already my bottom line, I will not work for you. He was the most orthodox bloodline of the blood cloak Miao people, shouldering the hopes of all the clansmen. It was impossible for him to be someone else's subordinate. I said, I don't need you to help me kill. Yi Jioge shook his head. Jun Yichen's big black eyes immediately flashed a ruthless light. He hated to be rejected. Not to mention that Yi Jioge rejected him again and again. Fortunately, when Junichen was about to turn hostile, Yijioga added, "How about this? You help me do one thing, I will give you a bottle of spirit beast pills, how about that?" Junichen silently counted with his fingers. Feeling that this deal was reasonable, he nodded. "All right, tell me, what do you want me to do?" "I haven't thought about it yet, I will give you a bottle as a deposit first." Yijioga took out a bottle of spirit beast pills and threw it to Junichen. Junichen immediately took it, opened it and smelled it. It was indeed a good medicine. "Luo Tian, from now on, you are my subordinate, is that right?" Yijioga turned his head and asked Luo Tian. "Yes, just tell me what you need, master." Luo Tian placed his right hand in front of his chest and bowed slightly. His attitude was still very serious. Yijioga glanced at Junichen. Junichen was expressionless, silently counting his fingers in his heart, calculating how to eat these spirit beast pills. He did not have any objection to Luo Tian calling Yijioga master. This attitude wasn't normal. Yijioga thought for a moment, then asked Luo Tian, "The natal goo in your body, does it have to obey Junichen?" "Yes, the natal goo in the young master's body is the most powerful one in the blood-clothed Miao tribe. Everyone has to listen to him." Luo Tian did not hide anything. *CK. Yijioga wanted to vomit blood. Luo Tian said that he would sell his life for him, but in the end, his life was in someone else's hands. What kind of logic was this? However, what displeased her the most was the way Luo Tian addressed him. He called her master and Junichen young master. Those who didn't know better would think that Junichen was her son. "Call me young miss from now on." Yijioga decided to keep his distance from Junichen. "All right." This was not a problem for Luo Tian. Yijioga composed himself and asked another question. "Why does your master care so much about spirit beast pills?" In fact, she already had a guess in her heart, but she still wanted to clarify it. "Because the spirit beast pill you refined has a great effect on repairing our life insect," Luo Tian replied seriously. Originally, his vital goo had already entered a state of suspended animation and could only recover by devouring other goo worms. But there was no one refining goo in Thunder Country. At that time, he thought that he was dead for sure, but who would have thought that he would meet Yijioga, and even his human goo was saved by her. "All right, take this bottle, treat it as this month's monthly allowance." Yijioga also threw a bottle of spirit beast pills to Luo Tian. She was quite satisfied with Luo Tian's attitude. Although this lad looked like an unruly barbarian, his temper was quite good, especially when compared to Junichen. Yijioga had always been a generous person. Before she rode a horse, she would first feed the horse grass. "Many thanks." Luo Tian received the spirit beast pills and was about to keep them, but was stopped by Yijioga. "I gave you the spirit beast pills to help you recover your strength quickly, so that you can work for me, not to let you earn it for free." "That's right, cast a long line to catch a big fish." Junichen expressed his approval, then ordered Luo Tian, "Eat." "Little master, you can't speak the truth so carelessly." Luo Tian felt like crying. When they broke through the encirclement, the old clan leader was right to tell little master to shut up and pretend to be mute. Seeing Yijioga's face darken, Luo Tian immediately made up his mind. For the little master's sake, he had to gain a foothold with Yijioga. In this case, he had to recover his strength quickly. Otherwise, forget about helping, he might even have to ask Yijioga to save him instead. Luo Tian quickly swallowed the spirit beast pills, then said to Yijioga, "Eldest miss, if I'm not wrong, the bloodthirsty ancestor sent his disciple to Alchemy City to kill people, not just to take the spirit roots of those martial practitioners. He must have a bigger goal." "That's right, the blood fury skill he cultivates is about to level up. The blood and spirit roots of those martial practitioners are not enough for him." Junichen's voice was cold, his dark eyes incomparably cold. "Blood fury skill? What the hell is that?" Yijioga's heart skipped a beat when she heard this name, and she hurriedly asked. Junichen kept a straight face and did not answer. Luo Tian took the initiative to explain. The blood fury skill is the bloodthirsty ancestor's personal skill. Every time he levels up, he needs not only a large amount of blood, but also someone with a similar cultivation level as him to act as a primer. The last time the bloodthirsty ancestor ascended, he used the blood of their old clan leader. However, there was one thing that even the bloodthirsty ancestor hadn't thought of. The old clan leader's blood had a relationship with his successor, Junichen. After the bloodthirsty ancestor absorbed the old clan leader's blood to level up, Junichen learned many of his secret skills. That bloodthirsty ancestor doesn't just have a strong cultivation level, he also has a secret skill, which is to use his own blood essence to cultivate a kind of blood bead. Every one of his direct disciples has this blood bead. As long as they take it at a critical moment, they can borrow the bloodthirsty ancestor's cultivation level to explode with shocking potential. At the time, some of our clansmen who weren't poisoned fought against them, and they all died under this move. A pained expression flashed across Luo Tian's face. He had participated in that battle as well. That opponent had clearly looked weak, but after he had been knocked down, his cultivation level had suddenly skyrocketed, and he had even ambushed him when he wasn't paying attention. Yi Jiuge's heart immediately jumped. If that was the case, then Bai Songling, Wan Ziang, and Yi Yu were all in danger. Come, let's go find Wan Ziang and the others first, Yi Jiuge said without hesitation. They knew too little about the bloodthirsty sect, and their previous preparations were far from enough. They had to revise their plans. Chapter 166. It was a moonlit night, but the forest was still dark. Yi Jiuge was drawing circles on the ground, thinking about a very important problem. Though she shouted to meet up with Wan Ziang, Bai Songling, and Yi Yu, they weren't in Alchemy City. She couldn't find them. But it wasn't like she couldn't find them. Wan Ziang's letter said that there was red clay on the souls of the dead martial artists. She should be able to find them if she followed this clue. Unfortunately, it was a waste of time. Luo Tian stood to the side, silently guarding Yi Jiuge like a statue. On the fifth sigh, she couldn't help but ask, "Eldest miss, I heard that you have a brother called Yi Yu who also has a poisonous earth dragon parasite cultivated by Master?" Yi Jiuge nodded. "Why? Your parasites can communicate with each other?" If that was the case, it would save her a lot of effort. "I can give it a try," Luo Tian said cautiously. "Then hurry up and try." Yi Jiuge stood up and urged Luo Tian. Luo Tian opened his palm, and the red poisonous earth dragon goo ran out of his sleeve and obediently lay on his palm. Luo Tian closed his eyes and mumbled something, but no sound came out. The red poison earth dragon parasite's two small eyes were rolling around, and its body was also moving around Luo Tian's palm. It looked like it was looking for Yi Yu's direction. "Little Junjun, when did you raise this parasite?" Yi Jiuge felt that this poisonous earth dragon was not bad. It was stronger than Yi Yu's. If he could get a few for Wan Ziang and the others, he wouldn't have to worry about losing contact. "Don't call me Little Junjun." Junichen was expressionless, but his voice was filled with anger. Junichen is too hard to pronounce. Plus, even the first name makes us seem like strangers. Yi Jiuge giggled, not afraid of Junichen's anger at all. To be honest, Junichen's expressionless and angry look was quite cute after a while. "Then call me Little Mute." Junichen held back his anger. For the sake of the spirit beast pill, he endured it. "But you're not mute." Yi Jiuge continued to tease Junichen. "Damn woman, how dare you tease me?" Junichen was about to explode. Fortunately, Luo Tian finally opened his eyes and said in a deep voice, "Big miss, Lil Red has found Yi Yu's location. He's not in a good condition, so we should hurry over." Little Red was the poisonous earth dragon goo in his possession. "Let's go." Yi Jiuge couldn't be bothered to tease Junichen anymore. Luo Tian immediately ordered Lil Red, "Go." The red poisonous earth dragon goo spread its cicada's thin wings and flew toward the east. Yi Jiuge and the others quickly followed behind it. Dawnfall Peak. In a dilapidated temple that had not been repaired for a long time, the statue of the Earth Lord that was worshipped was already incomparably modeled. The corners of the roof were covered with cobwebs, and there was a thick layer of dust on the ground. Sunlight shone through the hole in the roof, illuminating a small part of the floor in the middle, but the surroundings were still very dark. Yi Yu held his breath and hid in the shadows on top of the roof beam. He still had 2 clear heart pills in his mouth. These were the last of his stock. Ever since he found out that Yi Jioga had been framed by the crown prince, he desperately searched for Lu Yunfei, wanting to capture her and bring her to justice to clear eldest Mrs. name. With great difficulty he finally reached the vicinity of this dilapidated temple, but he didn't expect to fall into Lu Yunfei's trap and be hit by a sneak attack from behind. At the last moment, Yu snuck into the shadows and silently waited for an opportunity to escape. Little Yu, be good and open the door. Quickly open it, big sister wants to come in. Lu Yunfei's sickeningly sweet voice resounded from outside the dilapidated temple. Then there was a loud bang. The wooden door of the dilapidated temple flew up and crashed to the ground, raising a large amount of dust. Lu Yunfei was still dressed in a pink dress, and the hem of the dress was embroidered with colorful butterflies, which danced along with her movements. She slowly walked into the dilapidated temple, her nimble and light footsteps resembling that of a nimble butterfly. That pair of eyes that flashed with a faint red light swept across the dilapidated temple, and she laughed to herself, "Little Yu, quickly come out, big sister will make you very happy." Her words were filled with the feeling of spring, and the whole dilapidated temple was filled with an atmosphere that made people's hearts beat faster. Yu stood in the shadows, and he only felt that Lu Yunfei's sickeningly sweet voice was like a white feather, tickling him from the bottom of his feet all the way to the tip of his heart, and it was unbearably itchy. Especially when Lu Yunfei's sneak attack just now, he could not help but feel a burning sensation on his back. The boiling heat spread from his back to his abdomen, and it was unbearably hot. Yu was very clear that he had been drugged by Lu Yunfei. Unfortunately, his poisonous earth dragon parasite had been injured by Lu Yunfei, and there was no way for her to detoxify it for him. He could only rely on the tranquil heart pill in his mouth to resist this unbearable lust. Lu Yunfei strolled around the dilapidated temple, but she didn't hear Yiyu's voice. She felt some admiration for Yiyu in her heart because she couldn't lure him out even after using her charm technique. He was indeed worthy of being the man that she left for last. Not to mention other things, this degree of tranquil heart pill was definitely comparable to Lu Shahui. Since she couldn't lure this little guy out with her carnal desire, she would use another method. Lu Yunfei's eyes turned, and she took out a piece of white skin from her storage pouch. After shaking it open, it turned out to be the appearance of a woman. It was a complete piece of human skin. "Little Yu, this is the skin that I just peeled off from a beauty last night. Do you like it? However, this skin looks very smooth, but it doesn't feel very good to the touch. When it comes to the skin of a beauty, it's still the most beautiful blood slave by the old ancestor's side. Her skin is snow white, and there is a red mole between her eyebrows. She looks quite similar to you, so she should be that unlucky sister of yours that Su Junqing sent away. The old ancestor has already promised me that after I complete this mission, he will give me that blood slave. When the time comes, I will peel off her skin and give it to you, okay?" The more Lu Yunfei spoke, the more excited she became. Her eyes had already turned scarlet red, and her skin had also become flushed. She panted tenderly as she said, "When I think about peeling off your sister's skin, I'm so excited, so happy, so happy. Little Yu, do you really want to watch your sister die?" From the moment Lu Yunfei mentioned his sister, Yiyu's nerves had already collapsed into a straight line. Hatred, worry, anger, fear, and other emotions were constantly rolling in his heart, ready to erupt at any time. The tranquil heart pill that was originally in his mouth was accidentally swallowed into his stomach. After the extreme coolness, came the extreme fanaticism. Yiyu secretly felt that things were not good. Just as he was about to leave the dilapidated temple, he heard Lu Yunfei's devil-like voice coming from behind him. "I caught my little bunny." Chapter 167. At this time, Yi Jioga was rushing towards the broken temple with Luo Tian and Junichen. Luo Tian followed behind her and spoke while running. "Young miss, didn't you ask the young master when he raised this insect? As far as I know, he raised a batch before coming to Alchemy City, and this is the best one. I refined it with my essence blood." "Luo Tian, do you want to die?" Jun Ichen's arrogant voice came down from the tree. He disdained running on the ground with Yijioga and the others, but insisted on jumping on the tree, probably because he felt that it was more cool. "Little master, there are some things that can't be hidden from Big Mississippi." Luo Tian's obscure voice traveled through the whistling wind into Juni Chen's ears. "We can't hide it from her, so we naturally have to tell her the truth. This will deepen eldest Miss's impression of us." "Oomph." Juni Chen stepped on a branch unhappily, accepting Luo Tian's explanation. Yijioga was already used to them playing tricks in front of him. She turned around a big tree and continued to ask Luo Tian, "This poisonous earth dragon became like this after you refined it with your blood essence? Or are all the ones he raised like this?" "No, these poisonous earth dragon parasites will display different characteristics depending on the person's blood essence. My parasite has opened its eyes. Aside from detoxification, it can also be used for searching. Yiyu's parasite should be as good at hiding as its master." As Luo Tian ran, he carefully introduced his young master's batch of poisonous earth dragon parasites. It had to be said that Juni Chen had already raised the poison earth dragons to a new level. This new batch of poison earth dragon goo would automatically choose a master that was more compatible with their attributes, and the evolved skills would also be more comprehensive. For example, Luo Tian was one of the 2 surviving members of the blood-clothed Miao tribe. Needless to say, he was strong. The poisonous earth dragon goo that he had refined, Xiaohong, not only had eyes and long thorns, it could attack and defend, it also had a very strong offensive ability. "Young miss, do you want to raise one as well? With your strength, you will definitely be able to cultivate an even more powerful insect." Luo Tian quickened his steps and ran to Yijioga's side, looking at her sincerely. His expression seemed to be saying, "I'm not promoting goo worms, but loyalty. If you buy it, yours truly can give you a discount." Juni Chen floated down from the tree and landed beside Yijioga, looking as if he was bestowing a reward. Although the little Tsundra's expression was a little annoying, Yijioga was really tempted by those goo worms. She thought for a moment and said, "Let me see it first." Juni Chen rolled up his sleeves, revealing his white and dry little arm, on which there were 13 black dots. He said, "These are all insects that haven't hatched yet. As long as you reveal a drop of blood essence, the insects will automatically choose you." Yijioga pricked his finger and a drop of blood floated in front of her. The black dots on Juni Chen's hand all swelled up, fighting to be the first to pounce on Yijioga's drop of blood essence. Even Juni Chen was shocked by their craziness. In fact, the natal goo in his body was desperately sending him a message. This drop of blood is also very beneficial to him. Hurry up and give it to him. Juni Chen and his natal goo were one and the same. Its desire was his desire. He immediately used his power to suppress the rampaging goo insects, then reached out to snatch the drop of blood essence from Yijioga. He didn't expect a black and fat figure to be faster than him. With a swoosh, it swallowed the drop of blood essence, then landed on Yijioga's shoulder. It was a fat black rat. It had a fat head and big ears, with a round belly. Its little paw grabbed Yijioga's hair and shouted in dissatisfaction, "Pippi! Black fatty, why did you come out?" Yijioga was also shocked by this scene. Only now did she remember Zi Shang's warning to her. Every drop of blood in her body belonged to him. If she dared to let others use it carelessly, he would use a big stick to punish her. Was it too late to destroy the rat now? "You dare to steal this young master's thing?" Juni Chen's big black eyes stared at the black fat rat. The goo worms on his hand all went berserk, looking like they wanted to rush up and swallow the black fat rat clean. The black fat rat looked at the little worms with contempt, completely disregarding Juni Chen. It took out a carrot that was even longer than him from its beast skin bag, and squatted on Yijioga's shoulder as it chewed on it with relish. "If you want to fight, then fight later. Don't delay me from saving people." Yijioga didn't even turn his head as he grabbed the black fat rat and stuffed it back into his cloth bag. Juni Chen lost his target and looked angrily at Yijioga, shouting, "Return the blood essence to me. Return your grandpa, that belongs to me." Yijioga said in a bad mood. He couldn't tolerate this bad temper of stealing things. Juni Chen was about to flip out, but was held down by Luo Tian. "Little master, earning spirit beast pills is more important. Jun Ichen clenched his teeth, silently remembering this grudge. Yi Jioge couldn't be bothered with little Ao Jiao's thoughts, and said to Luo Tian, "Hurry up, I want to find you in an incense's time." After Luo Tian appeased the little master, he drove Xiao Hong with all his might, and quickly brought Yi Jioge to the broken temple. "Yi Yu should be inside. I can feel that his poisonous earth dragon goo is injured," Luo Tian said softly. Yi Jioge opened his spirit eye to carefully inspect the situation of the broken temple. He saw a red circle of light surrounding the broken temple, mixed with the thick smell of blood, and there were even many strange red shadows hiding in the surroundings. It was obvious that this broken temple was one of Lu Yunfei's traps. She wanted to use Yi Yu to lure the others over. "Young miss, do we attack?" Luo Tian rubbed his fists, wanting to show off. "Do you have the confidence to deal with the people from Bloodthirsty Sect?" Yi Jioge asked. It wasn't that she looked down on Luo Tian and Jun Ichen. It was that the two of them were crippled and small. They were really unreliable. "You still have the nerve to ask this kind of nonsense." Jun Ichen was still holding a grudge against Yi Jioge for not giving him the blood essence. "So you have already found a way to deal with Bloodthirsty Sect?" Yi Jioge raised his eyebrows and asked. "Of course." Jun Ichen nodded his head proudly, and habitually wanted to use spirit beast pills to exchange for an answer. Luo Tian answered first. "Little Master has already thought of a way to deal with Bloodthirsty Sect. Speaking of which, I have to thank you for this method." After he finished speaking, he looked at Yi Jioge gratefully. Yi Jioge was stunned, thought for a moment, and then probed. "Could it be that your method to deal with Bloodthirsty Sect is to rely on the poisonous earth dragon goo?" Young miss is indeed intelligent. Luo Tian nodded his head in gratification, looking like he didn't follow the wrong person. He couldn't tell that this guy was quite good at flattering people. However, flattery was useless. Yi Jioge still had to ask clearly what he needed to ask. Chapter 168. How can you be so sure that the poison earth dragon goo can deal with the bloodthirsty sex people? "I don't want guesses. I just want evidence," Yi Jioge said bluntly. "Of course, yours truly has verified it," Jun Ichen replied proudly. That year, when Forefather Bloodthirsty attacked the Bloodthirsty Miao tribe's territory, as the successor of the patriarch, Forefather Bloodthirsty Miao tribe had to kill him. Although the old patriarch risked his life to save him, he was also poisoned by the poison that could restrain the goo. In the beginning, he was tortured by the poison every day. It was only when he accidentally discovered that devouring the poison earth dragon could alleviate the poison that he felt much better. However, there weren't many poisonous earthworms in the wild, and searching for them was a waste of time, so he turned his attention to the cultivation base of the pharmacy. He seized the opportunity and used goo to control an old man in a pharmacy. Finally, he successfully sneaked into the poisonous earth dragon's manor. Because the earth poisonous dragon only had a lifespan of 15 days, the people in the villa didn't care too much about the daily consumption. He finally settled down and quietly detoxified the poison. Later, Yi Jioge spent money and effort to ask him to help cultivate the advanced version of the poisonous earth dragon, and even used spirit beast pills to pay him, which allowed him to successfully cultivate batch after batch of insects. "Very good, I'll take all of them." Yi Jioge waved his hand. If these goo worms could really neutralize the bloodthirsty sex poison, then he wouldn't have to worry about them trying to kill him again. In any case, she didn't have much, but she had a lot of elixirs. "I don't want the spirit beast pill. As long as you give me a drop of your blood essence, I'll give all of these goo insects to you." Jun Ichen couldn't help but swallow his saliva when he thought of Yi Jioge's delicious blood essence. "Hee, my blood essence is very precious. Even if you use your natal goo to exchange for it, you won't be able to buy it. Just exchange it for a spirit beast pill." Yi Jioge wished he could dig out the drop of blood essence in the belly of the fat black rat. How could he sell a second drop? "If you don't give me the essence blood, yours truly will not sell it," Jun Ichen threatened angrily. "Up to you." Yi Jioge shrugged and spread his hands. She had 100 ways to deal with people from bloodthirsty sect. However, Jun Ichen could only eat the spirit beast pills he refined himself. "Let's see who can last longer." "Young master." Luo Tian pressed down on Jun Yichen's shoulder again. Now that they had a favor to ask, they would only suffer losses if they were too arrogant. How could Jun Yichen not understand this logic? Even if he hated being suppressed by Yi Jiuge, he could only helplessly accept his fate. Alright, the old price, 1 bottle of spirit beast pills for 1. Sure, but I don't have that many spirit beast pills on hand right now. We'll make the deal after we return to Thunder Country, Yi Jiuge said. He planned to give each of them a spare pair when they returned. Jun Yichen was very confident in Yi Jiuge's character. Alright, now let's talk about how to go in and save Yi Yu. After Yi Jiuge had settled Jun Yichen, he began to discuss serious matters. Of course we're going to kill our way in. Jun Yichen's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he looked at the dilapidated temple. He decided to start with Lu Yunfei and start his path of revenge against the bloodthirsty sect. No. Yi Jiuge shook his head. Yi Yu was in Lu Yunfei's hands. If she were to use him as a hostage, it would be very difficult for them to rescue him. It was better to think of a foolproof method while Lu Yunfei did not know their background. For example, luring the tiger away from the mountain, creating a diversion. Whatever you say, miss, we'll do it. Luo Tian took the opportunity to express his loyalty. Yi Jiuge had just thought of an idea, so he said, then you guys just do as I say, no problem. Luo Tian nodded calmly. No problem. Jun Yichen expressed that as long as he took action, there would be no mistakes. Alright, let's go. Yi Jiuge nodded and led Luo Tian and Jun Yichen towards the dilapidated temple. Inside the dilapidated temple, light and shadow intertwined. Yi Yu's major acupuncture points were sealed by Lu Yunfei and he was laid flat on the white human skin. Tis. I didn't know that you could run so well. Lu Yunfei was not in a hurry to enjoy her feast. Instead, she touched Yi Yu's smooth and white skin with interest. Her tone was full of pity. It's been a long time since I've met such a beautiful man. I really can't bear to do it. What do you want? Yi Yu's entire body could not move. His eyes shot out a ray of hatred as he stared fiercely at Lu Yunfei. A man and a woman alone in a room. What do you think I want? Lu Yunfei's small hand was placed on Yi Yu's strong chest. She gently kneaded his firm chest muscles, trying to ignite his fire. You shameless slut. Yi Yu had always felt that men who scolded women were not good people. However, when faced with a sinister and cunning snake like Lu Yunfei, he had no choice but to scold her. Is that all you can say? Lu Yunfei smiled coquettishly. Yi Yu's scolding was simply not painful to her. In fact, it was filled with interest. Slut. Yi Yu clenched his teeth. He wanted to scold her until she was bleeding. Unfortunately, he was not good at scolding people. His mouth kept repeating these words. And I like it. Louder. The more Lu Yunfei listened, the more excited she became. She could not wait to tear Yi Yu's shirt into pieces. Then she reached out to pull his belt. Get lost. Don't touch me. Yi Yu really did not want to act like an ignorant girl who was being molested by a pervert. However, when he thought about losing his virginity to Lu Yunfei, this slut, he felt that he might as well die. Moreover, he wanted to have his blood, cultivation, and vitality sucked dry. He felt that he might as well die. Not only will sister touch, sister will also eat. Lu Yunfei pulled out Yi Yu's belt. She laughed like a hen that was about to lay eggs. Just as Yi Yu was about to be stripped naked by Lu Yunfei, a red shadow as thick as a thumb silently rushed down from the roof. It rushed towards Lu Yunfei's neck. Lu Yunfei's hand was still on Yi Yu's chest. However, the clothes behind her moved. A purple scorpion drilled into her neck. Its stinger moved and fiercely whipped the red shadow. The red shadow craftily turned around and spat out a sticky red liquid at the purple scorpion. The purple scorpion could not dodge in time. It was covered by the red liquid and could not move. The red shadow flapped its wings and quickly dragged the scorpion away. The entire process was very fast. It only took a few breaths. By the time Lu Yunfei reacted, she discovered that her treasure-seeking scorpion had been stolen. She had obtained that treasure-seeking scorpion by chance. She had spent countless years to raise it to rank 3. It was the time to use it. She had obtained a lot of benefits from the treasure-seeking scorpion. How could she be willing to let it be stolen like this? Lu Yunfei did not care about enjoying her feast. Her figure moved and chased after the scorpion. In the blink of an eye, only Yiyu was left in the broken temple. Yiyu condensed all the spiritual energy in his body. He wanted to break through the sealed acupuncture points. Unfortunately, Lu Yunfei's technique was very strange. He was unable to condense his spiritual energy. Seeing that Lu Yunfei was about to return at any moment, he was so anxious that a thin layer of cold sweat appeared on his body. He almost went berserk. Chapter 169. Just as Yiyu was about to open his acupuncture point, a few inaudible footsteps came from outside the dilapidated temple. He thought it was Lu Yunfei who came back and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He didn't expect a familiar figure to walk in. Her green clothes fluttered in the wind, her figure was graceful, her face was delicate, and there was a faint fragrance on her body. It was Yi Jioga. "Yiyu, are you okay?" Yi Jioga was shocked when she saw Yiyu's clothes were messy, revealing half of his smooth chest, and even his belt was taken off. "She didn't come late and caused Yiyu to sleep with Lu Yunfei, right?" "I'm fine." Yiyu's sorry state was seen by Yi Jioga, and he wanted to hide in a hole and never come out. Yi Jioga originally wanted to help Yiyu open his acupuncture point. Seeing that he was not intimate, she was too embarrassed to make a move. She turned around and shouted, "Luotan, come in for a moment." Luo Tian quickly came in and saw Yiyu's miserable appearance. He thought that Yiyu had been done with by Lu Yunfei. He was very sympathetic and reached out to help him open his acupuncture point. Yiyu regained his mobility and quickly tidied up his clothes. However, his injuries were a little heavy and his movements were a little slow. It was Luo Tian who helped him. "Trash." A proud and disdainful voice came from the roof. "Little mute." Yiyu looked up, and for a moment, he wasn't sure if it was him who was scolding him. "Mph. You have this young master's poisonous earth dragon goo and you can move stealthily, but you were still plotted against by that woman. You're really trash." Zhu Nichen continued to complain expressionlessly. Yiyu didn't defend himself in the face of Zhu Nichen's scolding and said in shame, "I was careless. I didn't expect Lu Yunfei to have other helpers. Eat these pills first, then tell me what other helpers she has." Yi Jioga saw that Yiyu's body was emitting a strong smell of aphrodisiac. She poured out 2 clear heart pills and 1 fire pill for Yiyu. Yiyu ate the pill and the dark fire on his body immediately retreated. Then, he told the story of how he was plotted against. After he discovered Lu Yunfei's whereabouts yesterday, he stealthily followed her and found out that Lu Yunfei had kidnapped a level 2 alchemist from the alchemy competition. He wanted to save this tier 2 alchemist and let her accuse Lu Yunfei and Su Junqing so that he could clear Yi Jioga's name. He did not expect that the tier 2 alchemist was actually a fake, and had backstabbed him instead. When he was escaping, he was hit on the back by Lu Yunfei's palm, so he fled here. Who was that evil cultivator who pretended to be a level 2 alchemist? Yi Jioga asked with a frown. Previously, during the alchemy competition, she had carefully observed the few level 2 pill refiners and did not find any traces of heretic cultivators. It's a middle-aged woman with high cheekbones, a mean face, and fine wrinkles at the corners of her mouth. Her name is Gui Yingxi. Yiyu carefully described the woman's characteristics. "I recognize that woman." Yi Jioga had an impression of her. After the alchemy competition, that woman had stayed in the alchemy tower and hadn't appeared since. "I recognize it too," Luo Tian said. At that time, he was the one who tested the medicine on the stage, so he secretly noted down all the tier 2 pill refiners. That middle-aged woman was quite conspicuous, so it shouldn't be that easy to disguise. That evil cultivator is very powerful. The evil aura on her body was completely concealed, and there was no trace of her disguise at all, Yiyu repeatedly emphasized. "Even you were fooled. It seems that evil cultivator is very good at disguising. If she wants to cause any damage, then it will be troublesome." Yi Jioga faintly felt uneasy. Yiyu had always been good at disguising, and the evil cultivator who could fool him was definitely not simple. "Young miss, why don't we leave this place first?" My Xiao Hong can't hold on much longer, Luo Tian said with a frown. That purple scorpion had a connection with Lu Yunfei, so he couldn't get rid of Xiao Hong no matter what. You take Yi Yu and leave first, I will meet that Lu Yunfei, Yi Jioga said in a deep voice. She had been tracking down the bloodthirsty sect's evil cultivators for so long, but she had only interacted with Su Junqing. Other than the bewitching art, she didn't know what other tricks the bloodthirsty sect had. She could take this opportunity to meet Lu Yunfei and find out more about the bloodthirsty sect's background. Young Miss, Lu Yunfei has many tricks up her sleeves, but her schemes are not strong. You must be careful, Yi Yu said worriedly. I am here, what are you afraid of? Jun Yichen said arrogantly. 4-1, we can give it a try. Luo Tian nodded. Although he and his young master had not fully recovered their powers, it was not a problem to test out that woman's methods. No need, Luo Tian, you take Yi Yu and leave. Little Mute will wait for me in the dark. It would be best if we can take her down, but we can't retreat at any time. Yi Jioga only wanted to test Lu Yunfei's tricks, there was no need to leave so many people. Yes. Luo Tian was very confident in Yi Jioga and the young master. Without saying anything else, he carried Yi Yu, who could not move freely, and turned to leave. Little Mute, summon Xiao Hong here, Yi Jioga ordered. Jun Yichen's life gu could control all the gu raised by the blood cloak Miao people, and Luo Tian's Xiao Hong was no exception. Jun Yichen's expression was solemn, his mouth did not move, but his body made a strange trembling sound. Not long after, Xiao Hong flew in like lightning and landed in front of Jun Yichen. It looked very pathetic, the blood-red color of its body had faded a lot, and its spread wings could not stop trembling, that was a sign of overexertion. It was also dragging a palm-sized purple scorpion. Although it was frozen by the red liquid, it still looked like it was struggling to get out. Yi Jioga immediately recognized that this unlucky scorpion was the one that lured him to the chaotic world. When the unlucky scorpion saw Yi Jioga struggling even more, it seemed to know that it was going to be in big trouble. Give me that purple scorpion. Yi Jioga stretched out his hand towards Jun Yichen. A spirit beast pill, Jun Yichen raised his index finger and added expressionlessly, to reward Xiao Hong. Cheapskate, take it? Yi Jioga was already speechless at Jun Yichen's action of wanting to take the prize from him. After Jun Yichen fed the spirit beast pill to Xiao Hong, he took down the purple scorpion and threw it to Yi Jioga. After Yi Jioga wrapped the scorpion with his spiritual energy, he carefully examined it. This scorpion was palm-sized, its purple carapace looked like it was forged from metal, and it shone with a faint cold light. But the strangest thing was that there was a red eye on its stinger, which was faintly discernible under the sunlight. So it's a treasure-seeking scorpion. Yi Jioga had heard of this kind of strange beast. Not only was it very sensitive to treasures like Yin spirits, but after advancing, it could also eliminate demons and devour ghosts. It was a very angry demonic beast, no wonder Lu Yunfei would rather give up on Yi Yu and chase after him. Chapter 170. That evil cultivator has caught up. Jun Yichen said softly. Yi Jioga looked towards the entrance of the broken temple, only to see a light breeze blowing, the leaves falling silently, but a murderous aura assaulted his face. Stick to the plan. Yi Jioga stuffed the treasure-seeking scorpion into his cloth bag, then raised his hand and condensed a purple lightning. Jun Yichen's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Just as he disappeared, Lu Yunfei rushed back to the broken temple like lightning and was met with the purple lightning released by Yi Jioga. When she came back, she was already prepared to be ambushed. She raised her hand and released a blood mist to deflect Yi Jioga's lightning, then struck towards Yi Jioga's chest. Yi Jioga mobilized all the spiritual power in his body and raised his hand to meet her palm. The purple and red light fiercely collided, causing red and purple light to burst out. Lu Yunfei somersaulted and landed beside the broken temple door. Yi Jioga stood in place without moving. On the surface, Yi Jioga had the upper hand, but in fact, she was at a disadvantage. Lu Yunfei's palm wind was very insidious. If it wasn't for her lightning spiritual power having the ability to ward off evil, she would have really been hit. You are Yi Jioga? Lu Yunfei stood at the side of the door and sized up Yi Jioge with her big watery eyes. She exclaimed in admiration, "You do have some good looks. You are barely qualified to be my ancestor's blood slave." "You are Lu Yunfei?" Yi Jioge squinted his eyes and looked at Lu Yunfei with contempt, then said with disdain, "You look so vulgar, no wonder you have to use underhanded methods to force yourself on a man. Little girl, you better control your mouth, or else you won't even know how you die." Lu Yunfei's face darkened. Although she had heard countless insults, she still had to admit that Yi Jioge's mouth was a bit too vicious. "Can't help it, this mouth of mine can't be controlled when I see an ugly woman." Yi Jioge pretended to be distressed. She was originally extremely beautiful, and after obtaining the white bone flame, she had an otherworldly aura. That appearance of using her beauty to commit murder could definitely drive a woman crazy. Although Lu Yunfei wanted to skin Yi Jioge, she was after all, still someone who had seen the world. He suppressed the anger in his heart and asked the two most important questions: "Where are my Yi Yu and treasure-seeking scorpion?" "It's already mine." Yi Jioge smiled proudly, his arrogance exploding. Courting death. An ominous glint flashed past Lu Yunfei's eyes. She had dominated the bloodthirsty sect for so many years, but she had never been humiliated like this. "You're the one courting death." Yi Jioge's right hand formed a 5-thunder chant, and the purple lightning struck towards Lu Yunfei again. Lu Yunfei took out a small and exquisite blood-colored bell from her storage bag and gently shook it. A strange sound was transmitted over. When Yi Jioge heard this voice, the blood in his body surged crazily, as though he wanted to break through the shackles and rush towards Lu Yunfei. Yi Jioge was shocked. She quickly took out a clear heart pill and swallowed it. The cold feeling made her shiver. "To be able to withstand my blood bell sound, you are indeed not simple." Lu Yunfei raised her hand and shook the blood-colored bell twice. This time, the bell sound was even clearer, like a heavy hammer falling on Yi Jioge's head. The blood in her body surged even more violently, like a herd of wild horses that had lost control, about to rush out of her pores. Yi Jioge did not try to suppress the surging blood. Instead, he followed this feeling and shot out a thumb-thick bolt of purple lightning. Lu Yunfei did not expect that Yi Jioge would still have a chance to fight back under the control of her blood bell sound. She stopped underestimating him, raised her hand, and shot out a bloody light. After breaking through Yi Jioge's lightning, the blood-colored bell in her hand shook even more violently. Yi Jioge covered his ears and retreated 3 feet. He was about to pull out the Thunder Snake illusionary whip from his waist. However, Lu Yunfei suddenly opened her mouth and spat out a ball of thick bloody light. It turned into a blood-colored arrow, and with a rotten stench, it shot towards Yi Jioge's chest. Yi Jioge was not far from her. Caught off guard, he could only take this attack head-on. At this crucial moment, Lil Red, who was lying on Junichen's body, rushed out. The red light on its body exploded, and it turned into a fist-sized shadow. It opened its mouth and swallowed the blood-colored arrow. "Retreat!" Yi Jioge took the opportunity to retreat, broke through the window, and left the ruined temple. When Lu Yunfei heard the order to retreat, she thought that there was still an ambush in the ruined temple, so she stopped and searched carefully. When she rushed out of the ruined temple, she had already lost sight of Yi Jioge. "Damned bitch, wait until I send you back to bloodthirsty sect. I will definitely let the ancestor refine you into a blood slave to feed the Spider King." Lu Yunfei gritted her teeth and cursed. After Yi Jioge left the ruined temple, he quickly arrived at the place where he had agreed to meet Junichen. Junichen was already waiting there. "Is Lil Red all right?" Yi Jioge asked. If Lil Red had not rushed out to help her take the hit, she would have suffered a huge loss. "I'm fine." Junichen opened his palm. He saw that Lil Red's abdomen was as big as a ball, and its body was so red that it was about to drip blood. It was curled up and motionless. "It has a baby?" Yi Jioge asked hesitantly. He felt that Lil Red could give birth to a bunch of little goo at any time. Squeak, squeak. Lil Red roared angrily. Yi Jioge inexplicably felt that she understood what Lil Red meant. She raised her head and asked Junichen, "Is it saying that I am male?" "I don't know, but it is indeed male. Zhu Nichen shook his head. He could only give orders to goo worms unilaterally, and could not understand what they were saying. Then why is its stomach so big? Yi Jioga was slightly worried. Although Lil Red was only a goo worm, if it died to save her, she would also feel guilty. It must have eaten too much. The blood arrow that Lu Yunfei shot out just now was extremely poisonous. If you were hit by it, you would have turned into a puddle of blood on the spot. Zhu Nichen understood that arrow very well. Many of his clansmen had died under that move in the past. Squeak squeak. Oh? Red cried out again. Although it looked like it was going to explode at any time, it was still in good spirits. Red saved you, don't you have anything to say? Zhu Nichen looked at Yi Jioga expressionlessly and asked for repayment with a serious face. There are only 2 left, take it. Yi Jioga sensibly took out the spirit beast pill. Although she had ways to neutralize the blood arrow even if Lil Red didn't come out, she couldn't let Lil Red down. Goo worms also had insect rights. Zhu Nichen took the spirit beast pill and stuffed it into Lil Red's mouth. After Lil Red swallowed it, although its stomach seemed even bigger, it began to hum with a satisfied expression. Shut up. Zhu Nichen reprimanded with a dark expression. He didn't want Yi Jioga to know that Lil Red swallowed the blood arrow not to save her, but because it was useful for Lil Red's evolution. After Lil Red finished absorbing the blood arrow and the spirit beast pill, it would be able to advance to the next level. Yi Jioga actually noticed a little, but Lil Red was her own worm. She was happy to see it evolve, so she didn't expose Zhu Nichen's intentions. Chapter 171. Luo Tian is summoning us. Let's go back. Zhu Nichen put Little Red back into his sleeve and ran towards the forest. Yi Jioga followed him and asked, "Do you recognize the blood-colored bell that Lu Yunfei took out?" The ringing from the blood-colored bell was too terrifying. If it weren't for the clear heart pill, she wouldn't have been able to resist it. If it were an ordinary person, they would have died. Zhu Nichen thought for a moment, then said, "It's an artifact that Ancestor Bloodthirsty used his own blood essence to refine for his direct disciple. It's similar to the blood beads in that it can borrow his power." Although he learned a lot of information from the bloodthirsty ancestor with the help of the patriarch's blood, this information was usually buried in the depths of his mind and could only be triggered when he saw the real thing. Blood beads, blood bells, blood swords, bewitching art, disguise art. Yi Jioga secretly memorized these methods of the bloodthirsty sect. She planned to record them in a booklet and distribute it to Wan Xiang and the others so that they wouldn't have to take many detours when facing the bloodthirsty sect in the future. The 2 of them followed the clues left by Luo Tian and finally arrived at a hidden valley before sunset. Turning into the valley, they found a bonfire on the leeward side of the mountain wall, and the faint aroma of barbecued meat wafted in the air. "They're quite carefree." Yi Jioga's tone was a little sour. Anyone who fought to the death with the enemy in a broken temple and came back to find their comrades barbecuing and drinking would not be happy. Zhu Nichen rarely expressed his approval. At this time, Yi Yu, who was squatting next to the bonfire and roasting a rabbit, noticed that Yi Jioga and the others had returned. Just as he was about to get up to greet him, a figure quickly strode towards Yi Jioga. As she ran, she said in an exaggerated tone, "My young miss, you finally appeared. Alchemy City and Shangjing are in chaos because of you." No one else could have such exaggerated acting skills other than Bai Songling. "Really?" Yi Jioga raised his eyebrows and replied to Bai Songling, "When did I become so important? Why didn't she know?" Bai Songling smiled bitterly and said, "Think about it. Master Yun's granddaughter, the eldest legitimate daughter of the Yi family, and the former fiancée of the crown prince, turned out to be the leader of evil cultivators. Not only did she murder countless spiritualists who came to participate in the alchemy competition, but she also cruelly killed people from the Gong family. After being arrested, she killed people and escaped from prison. Gong Honglei has already sent a message back to the Spiritualist Alliance to list you as the most wanted criminal. Yi Yuxuan also posted on the Tianxia board, saying that he wants to cut off his father-daughter relationship with you. The Crown Prince even offered a bounty of 10,000 gold coins for your whereabouts. Su Yufeng and her mother went around saying bad things about you. Those passers-by who don't know what's going on will scold you like you're the greatest sinner in history. Bai Songling was not exaggerating at all. In fact, the current situation was even more serious than what he had said. Alchemists were originally a respected existence. No matter who made a move on them, it would be a huge taboo. After Yi Jioga escaped from prison, the crown prince added fuel to the fire and falsely accused her reputation. If Yi Yuxuan could bear the pressure to support Yi Jioga, then the public opinion would not have gone out of control. Unfortunately, not only did Yi Yuxuan not help Yi Jioga, he even posted on the Tianxia board, saying that he wanted to cut off his father-daughter relationship with Yi Jioga and that her life and death would no longer have anything to do with him. In addition, Yi Shanshan and her mother had secretly and openly poured dirty water on Yi Jioga's head, making people believe that Yi Jioga was the head of a heretic cultivator. Yi Jioga gritted her teeth, wishing that she could bite those 3 words into pieces and spit them into the mud. Although she knew that this scumbag of a father was a bit heartless, she did not expect him to be so heartless, indiscriminately framing her and breaking her bottom line every time. Forget it, I don't want this kind of father. Bai Songling comforted. Yi Jioga let out a breath and asked, "What about the servants in my courtyard?" She was only worried about Mother Qing, Pearl and the others. Even if Yi Yuxuan did not make a move on them, Su Yufeng would not let them go. Don't worry, after His Highness Dong Ling Wang heard the news, he immediately sent people to hide all the servants in your courtyard. Bai Songling admired the servants of the Purple Forest Park. Dongfang Ke had just sent someone to pass the news to Mother Qing, and Mother Qing immediately arranged for all the servants to leave in an orderly manner. When Su Yufeng rushed over, even the old maid guarding the door of the Purple Forest Park had disappeared. That's good. Yi Jioga finally heaved a sigh of relief. Oh right, Fourth Miss Yi is determined not to believe that you are a heretic cultivator, and is still unwilling to return to Alchemy City, but her mother, Fifth Aunt, Bai Songling couldn't help but sigh and said, "We originally wanted to bring Fifth Aunt out, but she insisted on staying in the Yi Mansion to wait for Fourth Miss Yi to return. Not long after, I heard that she died of an acute illness. The news that Su Yufeng spread was that you were dissatisfied with Yi Yuxuan and wanted to poison them, but accidentally killed Fifth Aunt." Fifth Aunt is dead? This news was a bit unexpected for Yi Jioga, but it was also reasonable. Yes, our people have already investigated and confirmed that it was Su Yufeng who poisoned her. Yi Yuxuan should also be aware of this, but he tacitly agreed that Su Yufeng pushed the blame to you. Bai Songling had been in the Ministry of Justice for a long time and believed that he had seen many tragedies, but a man as scum as Yi Yuxuan was rare. I didn't think that she would still be unable to escape this calamity. Yi Jioga sighed. She had already done her best to protect Fifth Aunt, but in the end, she still couldn't protect her to the end. She only pitied Yi Rui. Young miss, the rumors about you in Alchemy City and Shangjing are very unfavorable. If you don't think of a way to eliminate them, I'm afraid it will only get worse. Although Bai Songling sympathized with Fifth Aunt for not being a good person, Yi Jioga was still more important to him. How could Yi Jioga not know the severity of the situation? However, this kind of public opinion couldn't be changed with just words. Just as Yi Jioga was frowning and thinking hard, Luo Tian came over and said gently, "Young miss, why don't we slowly talk by the fire? It's warm there. You've been tired all day, so you should be hungry." Yes, we roasted rabbit meat for you and cooked mushroom soup." Bai Songling said, "At such an unlucky time, you need to eat and drink to have the energy to continue the discussion." Yi Jioga didn't feel it before, but now that she mentioned it, she realized that she was really hungry. She came to the fire and found that Juni-chen was already squatting by the side, eating more than half of the rabbit. "Young miss, sit here." Yi Yu took a roasted golden rabbit from the fire rack and handed it to Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga took a bite. The taste was really good. It was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, with crispy skin and crispy meat. In addition to the roasted meat, there was an iron bowl on top of the fire cooking soup. White mushrooms floated in the soup, and it smelled quite good. While Yi Jioga was eating, Bai Songling squatted beside her and continued the previous topic. After you leave the prison, you're already the head of the evil cultivators. Lu Yunfei and Su Junqing will definitely take the opportunity to kill those spiritualists and push the blame on you. Chapter 172. Don't worry about those rumors. When the truth comes out, the situation will change. The most important thing now is to expose Lu Yunfei, Su Junqing, and the Crown Prince's true colors. How is Brother Wan? Yi Jiuge asked. Now that she had been splashed with dirty water, Wan Xiang must not be any better. The Crown Prince is holding on to your friendship with him and wants to throw him into prison as an accomplice. Fortunately, Master Dongfang is wise and didn't listen to the Crown Prince's nonsense. However, Wan Xiang's military power has been taken back. Before the truth comes out, he has to avoid arousing suspicion. The Crown Prince's men are watching him every day so he can't find you. Fortunately, I've been running around outside and never entered Alchemy City. That's how I managed to avoid the Crown Prince's attack. Bai Songling explained the situation in Alchemy City. Alchemy City was divided into 3 factions. The Crown Prince and Gong Honglei's faction believed Yi Jiuge was the murderer. Wan Xiang and Yi Rui didn't believe Yi Jiuge was a heretic. Dongfang Yao and Li Zijuan remained neutral. You're missing one faction. Yi Jiuge added, Su Junqing and Lu Yunfei are also one faction, and the most important one. You're right. Bai Songling nodded and looked at Yi Yu. You brat, you've been following Lu Yunfei for so long and you still haven't found anything. Don't blame Yi Yu. I just exchanged a few moves with Lu Yunfei. Her methods are indeed powerful. Yi Jiuge drank a mouthful of soup and told them about his fight with Lu Yunfei. When mentioning the blood bell sound, she emphasized, if you see her take out a blood bell, it's best to knock it off immediately. If you can't, then leave immediately. Because her bell sound has a limited range, the closer you are, the greater the effect. She had personally tested this against Lu Yunfei when she was fighting against him. Yi Yu and Bai Songling quickly noted this down. Next, you must keep an eye on the remaining 2 rank 2 pill masters. If I'm not wrong, Lu Yunfei will make a move against them. Yi Jiuge had this guess when he heard Yi Yu say that the demonic cultivator disguised as a middle-aged woman, Guangxi. Just keeping an eye on them is not enough. It would be best if we can make contact with them and have them cooperate with us to capture the heretical cultivator, Luo Tian said solemnly. Brother, you're right. Wan Xiang's men have been keeping an eye on the Crown Prince, but they still made a mistake. It's better to ask them to be more vigilant and report to us as soon as they find any abnormalities. Bai Songling agreed. During this period of time, he had been tracking down the spiritualists who were killed along the way. He realized that they were killed because they were not vigilant enough. They had either fallen for Lu Yunfei's honey trap, or they had been deceived by someone they knew. All of them had died unjustly. Zhu Nichen, who had been silent all this while, suddenly said, Don't forget the ultimate goal of the evil cultivators. You're saying that they're looking for someone with a similar cultivation base as Forefather Bloodthirsty? Yi Jiuge didn't think it was possible. According to the information provided by Zhu Nichen and the others, Forefather Bloodthirsty was about to break through High Spirit Master and enter Great Spirit Master. Dongfang Yao was the only one in Alchemy City who fulfilled this condition. That old man looked withered, but after staying in Alchemy City for so many years, he wasn't a simple character. He wouldn't be tricked so easily. It's never wrong to be careful. Luo Tian's expression was gloomy. Back in the day, the Blood Cloak tribe was even more powerful, but they were still annihilated by Forefather Bloodthirsty. I'll write a letter to Li Zijuan later and have him give it to Grandmaster Dongfeng. Yi Jiuge felt that Luo Tian was right. It was always better to be careful. Bai Songling sneaked up to Zhu Nichen and said, Little mute, I heard you have quite a few parasites on you. Sell one to me. Ever since he heard from Yi Yu that these parasites could fight against Bloodthirsty's poison, he couldn't wait to get his hands on one. Zhu Nichen expressionlessly stared at Bai Songling with a strong sense of resistance. He hated this talkative fellow. Give him one. Yi Jiuge said. She had already decided on all of Zhu Nichen's parasites, so she had the most say in this matter. Essence blood. Zhu Nichen unwillingly raised his sleeve to reveal the parasites on his arm. Bai Songling happily squeezed his finger open and handed over a drop of essence blood. Soon, a black dot flew over. After absorbing Bai Songling's essence blood, it quietly lay on his palm like a chicken. It will hatch tomorrow. Zhu Nichen put down his sleeve. So long? Bai Songling frowned and then asked, what will the parasites look like? Will they be as powerful as you use? I don't know. This new batch of parasites will evolve according to their master's characteristics. Zhu Nichen was a little impatient. I'm so awesome, the parasites I raise won't be too bad. Bai Songling was full of confidence. She then moved to Yijioga's side and said, when the time comes, give me a few bottles of spirit beast pills to raise parasites. 500 taels of silver per bottle? Thank you. Yijioga said bluntly. The elixirs she gave before were all one-time use. Now that they wanted to use spirit beast pills to raise parasites, she couldn't afford it. TSK, 500 taels. Alright, I'll take one first. Although Bai Songling's heart ached, in order to raise a good parasite to save his life, he had to buy it no matter how expensive it was. I don't have any elixirs with me now. Let's talk about it later. Yijioga secretly decided to go back and refine spirit beast pills in batches. All right. Bai Songling nodded. Oh right, you, how's your parasite? Yijioga turned his head and asked Yiyu. My black overlord isn't doing too well. Yiyu carefully took out his parasite from his belt. The once majestic black bug now looked shriveled and shriveled. It curled up in Yiyu's palm, looking like it was half dead. It must have eaten the wrong poison. It will be fine after resting for a while. Zhu Nichen glanced at it and knew the problem. Although the poisonous earth dragon parasite could swallow a lot of poisons, some poisons were very harmful to it. For example, the aphrodisiac poison. After swallowing this poison, it would become excited. When it couldn't find a target to vent, it would become like this. After Yiyu heard this, he felt some heartache. He gently stroked the body of the Black Overlord. He was hit by Lu Yunfei's poisonous emotion palm. If not for the Black Overlord helping him to absorb more than half of the poison, even if he swallowed the clear heart pill, he would still turn into a beast of desire. Poor Overlord parasite. Yijioga deeply sympathized with it. Unfortunately, she didn't have any more spirit beast pills on hand. Otherwise, she would have given it a few to comfort it. Chapter 173. The night sky was tranquil with the stars hanging high in the sky. Bai Songling yawned and asked Yijioga, "It's getting late, should we camp here or go somewhere else?" These rough men could lie down for the night anywhere, but Yijioga was still his. He was afraid that she would feel wronged. Yijioga thought about it and said, "Let's go back to Alchemy City. Find a way to rent a place for me tomorrow morning. I want to refine some tranquil heart pills and a few bottles of spirit beast pills." These insects needed pills to heal, so it was better for her to refine some as a backup just in case. Sure, His Highness has a secret hideout in Alchemy City. I guarantee that the Crown Prince won't be able to find out. Bai Songling couldn't help but admire Dongfang K's foresight. Dongfang K had secretly set up several strongholds in Alchemy City before the competition. Now they finally came in handy. Then let's go. Yijioga stood up. Luo Tian extinguished the bonfire. Yiyu dug a hole to bury the leftover rabbit skeleton. Bai Songling cleaned her precious iron bowl and put it away. There was still 2 hours until daybreak. Yijioga, Bai Songling, Luo Tian, and Yiyu had to disguise themselves or else they would be captured. Disguising was also a necessary skill for Yiyu. He painted his face yellow, and after a few fiddles, he turned into an ordinary young man. Dressed in coarse blue clothes, he looked like a servant from a rich family. Luo Tian, on the other hand, painted his face black and pretended to be a silent guard. Bai Songling put on a slanted eyebrow and a goatee. He wore a sapphire blue robe and instantly became a rich landlord. At first, Bai Songling suggested that Yijioga pretend to be a landlady and become his wife, but Yijioga refused. She had already made up her mind. She rubbed some medicinal powder on her face and turned into a middle-aged woman with high cheekbones, a mean expression, and fine wrinkles on the corners of her mouth. "You look like Guangxi." Yiyu frowned. This face reminded him of a painful memory. That's the effect I want. Yi Jioga did it on purpose. That's too risky. Bai Songling also disagreed. They had to tuck their tails between their legs when they entered the city, but Yi Jioga pretended to be someone that the evil cultivator had once disguised as. Wouldn't that attract more attention? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. The best defense is offense. Yi Jioga naturally had her reasons for doing so. Now that the entire Thunder Country was against him under the influence of the Crown Prince, if she continued to hide like a turtle, she would only lose the initiative. She had to think of a way to take the initiative to attack. He might be able to catch a big fish by pretending to be Guangxi. Well, anyway, it can't be that bad. Bai Songling was also very optimistic. By the time they finished dressing up, the sky was already beginning to brighten. After the city guards opened the gate, they didn't interrogate Yi Jioga's group and directly let them into the city. The stronghold that Bai Songling mentioned was at number 17 East Main Street, next to the herb shop. At this time, it was still early. There were few people on the street and only a few shops were open. The group entered the house without a hitch. It was a courtyard with 3 entrances. Although the layout was simple, it had everything that one needed. Bai Songling was about to arrange for them to rest when he suddenly thought of something and said, "My insect seems to be hatching." As he said that, he raised his arm and saw that the black dot on his hand had become much bigger. Then, it moved and finally stretched out, revealing its true face. However, everyone looked at it with a strange expression. Yi Yu's black overlord was ferocious and mighty, good at hiding and devouring. Luo Tian's little red was extremely fast and good at sneak attacks. Bai Songling's white insect didn't have eyes or wings. It only had an extremely big mouth and looked very ugly. Things are like people. Zhu Nichen nodded and said, "You talk too much, that's why you raised such a big mouth insect." Impossible. Bai Songling couldn't believe that such a handsome young talent like him would raise such an ugly insect. He couldn't accept it. Face the reality. Yi Jioga also laughed mercilessly at the side. Bai Songling stared at the big-mouth insect and felt an indescribable suffocation in his heart. He could only comfort himself, forget it, forget it. The bigger the mouth, the more it eats. In the future, it will definitely be more powerful than you guys. And I really appreciate your attitude of deceiving yourself. Yi Yu said very seriously. Get lost. Bai Songling glared at Yi Yu, then licked his big face and went to Yi Jioga's side and said, "Later, help me refine a few bottles of spirit beast pills. I don't believe that my big mouth will always be so ugly." He had already made up his mind to cultivate his big mouth into the world's #1 insect. As long as you can afford it, you can have as much as you want. Yi Jioga said very generously. Me too. Zhu Nichen's small face was stiff, as if saying, "Don't forget me." Do you have money? Yi Jioga mercilessly attacked him. Zhu Nichen stared at him and said, "I'm doing things for you. Let's talk about it after it's done." Yi Jioga waved his hand and said to Luo Tian and Bai Songling, "I'll go out to buy some herbs, and then go into closed-door cultivation to refine pills. Don't stay here, hurry up and investigate the whereabouts of the remaining 2 rank 2 alchemists. It would be best if you can find out the whereabouts of Guangxi. If she's fine, it would be best. Yi Yu, your injury has not healed yet. Stay by my side and take care of me." Luo Tian and Bai Songling received their task and left together. Zhu Nichen also followed Luo Tian and left. Yi Jioga counted the money and left the house with Yi Yu, ready to buy some herbs. The originally bustling herb shop looked a little deserted today, and the shop assistants all looked listless. Yi Jioga picked the biggest herb shop and walked in. The moment the shop assistant saw her, he quickly greeted her enthusiastically. "Guest, what do you want?" "I want to buy some herbs." After Yi Jioga handed over the purchase list, she asked casually, "I see that there are very few people on the street. Is the herb business not good during this time?" "Hey, don't say it. It's all because of the evil cultivator. That evil cultivator killed many people who came to do business here. Who dares to come here now?" The shop assistant said while picking up the herbs, It said that the evil cultivator leader was killed by Master Yun's granddaughter, Yijioga. I don't know if it's true or not. Of course it's true. I heard that even her father announced that he was no longer her father's daughter. Another shop assistant said. Yijioga didn't care about these rumors, but Yiyu's face turned cold and said, "Don't talk nonsense without evidence." The shopkeeper standing behind the counter immediately scolded the two shop assistants. "Have you finished picking up the herbs? Talk too much. I invited you here to work, not to gossip." The two shop assistants did not dare to say anything more. They quickly picked up the herbs and enthusiastically sent Yijioga away. Yijioga had just left the pharmacy with the medicine bag when Yiyu whispered behind her, "Someone is following us." Chapter 174. Who's following us? What's their cultivation level? Yijioga lowered his voice and asked. Should be an advanced spiritualist. They're very cautious. Yiyu answered. If it wasn't for his natural sensitivity towards tracking, he probably wouldn't have noticed. Let's find a chance to take him down. Yijioga said as she looked around. They were currently on the busiest street in the herb store. Although the evil cultivator's killing caused business to drop, there were still more people than other streets. In particular, there was a free market in front of them that sold spiritual herbs picked by the city's residents. There were quite a lot of good stuff. Many low-rank alchemists were there with their followers. It was very lively with people coming and going. Yijioga had an idea, so she turned around and walked towards the market. After turning left and right, she walked into a small alley. During this process, Yiyu and Yijioga were already separated from each other by the crowd. Yijioga kept walking along the dirty alley. The further she went, the more secluded it became. At this time, she could feel someone following her. The aura was very well hidden. If she didn't look carefully, she wouldn't have noticed. When she reached a dead end filled with junk, she turned around and asked, "Friend, why don't you come out and have a good talk?" The person didn't make a sound. The alley was dead silent. "Since you don't want to come out, don't blame me for being rude." Yijioga raised her finger and a purple lightning shot towards the pile of wood in the corner of the alley. A black figure sprang out from the pile of wood and ran out of the alley. Yiyu was already prepared. He came out from the shadow and raised his hand to shoot two gray spiritual lights to force the black figure back. The black figure landed in front of Yijioga and revealed his face. It was a young man with a very unique appearance. "It's you?" Yijioga looked at the person's braided hair and black and red robe. He remembered that the person was a rank 2 alchemist. He was a prince from a remote country in the west. He seemed to be called Yangsen. "You recognize me?" Yangsen's light brown eyes sized up the disguised Yijioga. "There are only a few rank 2 alchemists in the city. It's not strange that I recognize you. But why are you following me?" Yijioga asked with a stern face. "Because you look like a friend of mine, Guangxi. Do you recognize her?" Yangsen's attitude was calm but his tone was full of probing. "I don't. Does she look like me? If there's a chance, we can get to know each other." Yijioga was expressionless. "There's no chance." Yangsen shook his head and said word by word, "She's dead. She was killed by an evil cultivator." Yijioga couldn't help but raise his eyebrows in surprise. Guangxi was really dead. However, a second-rank alchemist was killed by a heretical cultivator in Alchemy City. This matter shouldn't be kept a secret, so how did Yangsen find out? Yangsen seemed to have noticed the doubt in Yijioga's heart. He explained in a low voice, "Guangxi is my senior sister. We came to Alchemy City together to participate in the competition. Senior sister Gua was killed by an evil cultivator 3 days ago. Before she died, she used a secret method to pass the news to me. I've been looking for her body, but I haven't found it yet." After Yangsen finished speaking, he sized up Yijioga with a scrutinizing gaze. "I didn't kill your senior sister." Yijioga calmly said, "There is a person among the evil cultivators who is very good at disguising. He disguised himself as Guangxi and severely injured one of my subordinates. I disguised myself as Guangxi to lure that evil cultivator out." Yijioga did not say much about Yiyu. This Yangsen's appearance was too much of a coincidence. It was still unclear whether he was a friend or foe. Oh Yongsan seemed to believe Yi Jioga's words. After a moment of silence, he asked again, "Since you're investigating the evil cultivator, do you know the whereabouts of Yi Jioga? Do you also think that Yi Jioga is the leader of evil cultivators?" Yi Jioga asked. Oh Yongsan was silent for a moment before saying, "If she's the head of the evil cultivators, she won't be able to escape Grandmaster Dongfang's eyes." Oh Yongsan was also very sensitive to the aura of evil cultivators. That's right, Yi Jioga is only a scapegoat. The real evil cultivators are from the bloodthirsty sect. They are still running rampant in Alchemy City. If we don't catch them soon, more spirit cultivators will be harmed in the future. To be honest, you were too rash this time. If I was the evil cultivator disguised as Gui Yingxi, you would already be dead. Yi Jioga disagreed with Oh Yongsan. I have my own way of identifying evil cultivators. In fact, I've already seen the evil cultivator who disguised himself as Senior Sister. Oh Yongsan's words were shocking. If he was sure that Yi Jioga wasn't a heretical cultivator, he wouldn't have dared to follow him. Yi Jioga's eyes lit up and immediately asked, "Where is that evil cultivator?" "In a tavern on the Western Street. I often went there to drink during that period of time. He must have purposely waited there for me to take the bait." Oh Yongsan recalled the situation at the time. The evil cultivator's disguise was too perfect. If he didn't already know that Senior Sister was dead, perhaps he really would have fallen for it. Since he hasn't succeeded yet, he probably won't give up on you. You're in danger right now. Do you want to cooperate with us? Yi Jioga acted like he was trying to kidnap Little Red Riding Hood. Are you sure you can deal with those evil cultivators? Oh Yongsan didn't believe him. Although he really wanted to avenge his senior sister, he didn't want to throw his life away. Yi Jioga calmly said, "You have no other choice." Of course she was confident in dealing with heretical cultivators. However, she and Oh Yongsan were still testing each other, so there was no need to tell him her trump card. Oh Yongsan's expression constantly changed. It was clear that he was struggling inside. He knew very well that he was being targeted by heretical cultivators. He would have to face them sooner or later. Senior Sister Gua's cultivation was higher than his, but she still died in the hands of a heretical cultivator. Needless to say, he would die. Even so, he could not afford to easily believe that the two spiritualists in front of him were obviously in disguise. You don't have to make a decision in a hurry. This communication talisman is for you. If you need anything, let us know immediately. We'll rush over to save you. However, heretical cultivators have always been strange. It's better to take the initiative than to be attacked. Think about it carefully. Yi Jioga took out a communication talisman. This thing was expensive. She only got 3 of them. Even Yi Yu and Wan Xiang couldn't bear to give them to Oh Yongsan. Thank you. Oh Yongsan took the communication talisman. Needless to say, Yi Jioga's actions made him feel more at ease. He started to seriously consider the possibility of cooperation. I still have something to do. Excuse me. Yi Jioga said goodbye and left with Yi Yu. Chapter 175. Eldest Miss, that guy is still watching us from behind. Yi Yu whispered. There's no rush. He's definitely more anxious than us. Yi Jioga said indifferently. If she acted like she wanted Oh Yongsan no matter what, she was afraid that he would still act arrogant. She had to act like she didn't care about anything. Only then would he seriously consider the cooperation. How about I go watch him? Yi was a little worried. There were only 2 second-rank alchemists left in the city. If Oh Yongsan was also killed, it would be even more difficult for them in the future. That's fine, but you have to be careful. If you meet Lu Yunfei again, take more pills. Big Sis doesn't have anything, but I have a lot of pills. Yi Jioga stuffed a few bottles of Clear Heart pills and Passion Fire pills into Yi Yu's hands. In fact, Yi Yu's stealth was very good. It was just that Lu Yunfei's charm technique was too strong. A hot-blooded young man like him was easily affected by her. Yi Yu awkwardly took the pills. Previously, he was a little distressed about the pills. He wouldn't use them unless it was absolutely necessary. If he could take a few in advance, He wouldn't be so easily bewitched by Lu Yunfei's charm technique. After Yi Jioge and Yi Yu separated, they took a few more turns and changed their clothes again before returning to the stronghold. They found that Luo Tian and Juni Chen were already back. "Eldest miss, were you being followed?" Luo Tian saw Yi Jioge change into a yellow dress and dressed like a naive young girl. He guessed that something must have happened. "Yes, I was followed on the way. How about you guys? How's the mission?" Yi Jioge asked. "We went to the alchemy tower and only saw that martial artist, Xiong Yunhu. We didn't see that Yangsen. I heard that he went out for a drink. We also found news about Guangxi. I heard that after the competition, she left the alchemy tower to pick herbs in the mountains. She came back a while ago and went out again. Based on the time she came back, it should be to set up a trap for Yi Yu." Luo Tian explained his investigation in detail. "That Xiong Yunhu looks like a bear, but he's very afraid of death. He cried and screamed for the people of Alchemy City to protect him. He even insisted on staying in Dongfang Yao's private residence. If they didn't let him, he would roll around shamelessly," sneered Juni Chen. "There's such a thing?" Yi Jioge's impression of Xiong Yunhu was that he looked mighty and extraordinary. He didn't look like a coward. That's true. He even wanted to cause trouble with Yangsen, but Yangsen ignored him. Luo Tian nodded and said, "I heard that Yangsen has been very depressed recently and often goes to the tavern to drink. Although evil cultivators were rampant in Alchemy City and the situation was tense, most of the spiritualists who were killed outside the city, so no one dared to leave the city." "I see. By the way, where is Bai Songling? Isn't she with you?" Yi Jioge asked again. She planned to tell Bai Songling about Yangsen after she returned, lest she had to repeat it twice. "He followed us to the medicine refinement tower for a spin, then said that he was going to look for Wan Ziang." Although Luo Tian hadn't seen Wan Ziang before, he had heard of him from his young mistress. It was said that Wan Ziang was more reliable than the blabbermouth Bai Songling. His cultivation was profound, and he was a strict person. Just as Luo Tian finished speaking, Bai Songling pushed open the door and walked in. Behind him was a dignified old man with white hair on his temples. Luo Tian and Juni Chen looked at the unfamiliar old man with vigilance. Yi Jioge also looked at the old man in confusion and asked, "Big brother Bai, who is this uncle?" She had seen all of Bai Songling's people in Alchemy City, but this imposing old man wasn't among them. "Ha, even the eldest miss didn't recognize you. Wan Ziang, your disguise technique has improved." Bai Songling laughed and patted the old man's shoulder. The old man wiped his face with his hand, revealing a handsome face that seemed to have been carved by a knife. It was Wan Ziang. "Big brother Wan, why are you here?" Yi Jioge was pleasantly surprised. She thought that Wan Ziang was being watched too closely by the crown prince and couldn't come out. "I found a body double." Wan Ziang gave a simple explanation. He had been in the Justice Ministry for so long and learned many tricks from all walks of life. He didn't bother using them in the past, but he couldn't care less at this critical moment. Yi Jioge asked, "How is my little sister? Does she know about fifth concubine's death?" Yi Rui was now imprisoned in Alchemy City because of her. She didn't even get to see fifth concubine one last time, so she felt a bit guilty. "Fourth Miss Yi and your maids are under Li Zijuan's protection. They are currently safe, but I was afraid that she would be too excited to hear about her mother's death, so I hid it from her. On the other hand, your maid, Hua Dai, went missing some time ago. Li Zijuan's group found her corpse outside the city. Just like Gong Hongyu, she was skinned and had her blood sucked out. I saw her corpse and it didn't look like she had just died. It was more like she had been dead for a while." Wan Ziang spoke in a grave tone. Although his military power was taken away, Grandmaster Dongfang and Li Zijuan didn't restrict his movements and would notify him if anything happened. Yi Jioge asked, "When did Hua Dai go missing?" In fact, she had already guessed that Hua Dai was already dead. The Hua Dai who accused her that day was most likely the evil cultivator who was good at disguising himself. She had to admit that the evil cultivator was really powerful. Although she had some suspicions at that time, she still couldn't see any clues. The day Yi Yu was injured by Lu Yunfei. Wan Xiang's words confirmed Yi Jioga's speculation. She told him about seeing O Yangsen in the medicine shop and finally said, "According to the current situation, the evil cultivator should have pretended to be Hua Dai to accuse me, then pretended to be Gua Yingxi to lure Yi Yu into the trap, and now he wants to harm O Yangsen. That O Yangsen really doesn't know what's good for him. He's still dawdling even when he's about to die. If it was me, I would have directly tied him up and brought him back," Bai Songling said while rubbing her hands. "Our identities are shameful. If you tie him up and he runs away in anger, wouldn't we lose everything?" If she could tie him up, Yi Jioga would have kept O Yangsen alive for the new year. Eldest Miss is right. With the current situation, O Yangsen will cooperate with us sooner or later. What we need to do now is to plan how to use him to catch those evil cultivators," Wan Xiang said in a deep voice. "That evil cultivator in disguise is not difficult to catch. I'm just afraid that Lu Yunfei will follow us. I'm afraid that we won't be able to stop them from joining forces." Bai Songling sighed. If they were in Shangjing, he would have directly asked Dongfang Ke for a few dozen martial artists to kill those evil cultivators. However, they were now the scapegoat and had to sneak in and out. If they mobilized a large number of people, before Lu Yunfei could make a move, the Crown Prince could lead a team to destroy them. Chapter 176. This is indeed a problem. It would be best if we could separate them and defeat them. Wan Xiang had already heard about Lu Yunfei's methods from Bai Songling. He was also very afraid of Blood Bell and Blood Sharp Sword. "I have a way to lure Lu Yunfei away," Yi Jioga said. "What way?" Bai Songling turned his head to look at her and said, "We only have a few people. If we need a lot of people to lure Lu Yunfei away, we won't be able to catch that evil cultivator." "Don't worry, we don't need our people to lure her away." Yi Jioga took out a tightly bound purple scorpion from the bag he carried with him. It was also wrapped in thick yellow mud into a ball. Wan Xiang carefully looked at the scorpion and asked, "This is the scorpion that lured you to the pile of rocks?" Yi Jioga nodded. "Damn, then what are we waiting for? Quickly blow this guy up," Bai Songling screamed. If it wasn't for this stupid thing, Yi Jioga wouldn't have been hit by the black pot. The huge purple scorpion heard Bai Songling's words and squeaked in fear. I didn't expect this big scorpion to have some intelligence." Bai Songling looked at the big scorpion in surprise. Ever since he raised the big mouth goo, he became more interested in spirit beasts and demonic beasts. "Idiot, you can't even recognize the mutated beast treasure-seeking scorpion," Jun Yichen said expressionlessly. "What?" Bai Songling couldn't care less about quarreling with Jun Yichen. He stared at Yi Jioga and asked, "This is a mutated beast? Treasure-seeking scorpion, it sounded very awesome." "That's right, this is Lu Yunfei's treasure. As long as we use this thing as bait, Lu Yunfei will definitely fall for it." Yi Jioga shook the treasure-seeking scorpion in his hand. She already had the fat black mouse, so she didn't care about this treasure-seeking scorpion. "Such a good treasure, it's better to keep it for myself." Bai Songling coveted it. Wan Xiang glared at him and asked Yi Jioga, "What do you plan to do?" "I believe that Li Zijuan will be very interested in this treasure-seeking scorpion." Yi Jioga handed the treasure-seeking scorpion to Wan Xiang and said, "As for how to do it, big brother, one should know better than me. The yellow mud on the scorpion's body is mixed with an aura-concealing medicinal liquid. If you want to lure Lu Yunfei over, you just have to break the mud." "I understand." Wan Xiang took the treasure-seeking scorpion. Although Dongfang Yao was the most powerful person in the city, the second most powerful person wasn't Dongfang Jianming. It was Dongfang Yao's prime disciple, Li Zijuan. Li Zijuan was a very cautious person. With Alchemy City in such a chaotic state and Dongfang Yao standing aside, he didn't dare to act recklessly. Everything he did was for the sake of safety, so he focused all of his efforts on stabilizing the city. Although they wouldn't make any mistakes this way, it wouldn't be of much use in capturing evil cultivators. However, Li Zijuan hated heretic cultivators very much. If he knew that this treasure-seeking scorpion belonged to a heretic cultivator, he would definitely be willing to help Lu Yunfei. After all, A mutated beast like the treasure-seeking scorpion was also a treasure to a spirit alchemist. Whether it was used to find special spirit herbs or to kill it for alchemy, it would be great. Yi Jioga stood up and said, "All right, I'll leave the matter of capturing the disguised heretic cultivator to you guys. I'll go and refine some pills." Wan Ziang, Bai Songling, Luo Tian, and Jun Yichen weren't mediocre people. With O Yangsen's trap and the treasure that lured Lu Yunfei away, it was more than enough to plan an encirclement. There was no need for her to participate. It was more practical for her to refine more tranquil heart pills and spirit beast pills. Go! Bai Songling and Jun Yichen spoke in unison. They glanced at each other and snorted at the same time before looking away. They both wanted to use spirit beast pills to raise Gu, but Yi Jioga couldn't refine a lot this time. If they wanted to get more spirit beast pills from Yi Jioga, they had to perform well. The two immediately ignited their battle spirits and swore to take down the disguised heretic cultivator. Yi Jioga went into seclusion for 2 days and 2 nights and refined a total of 38 bottles of tranquil heart pills and 16 bottles of tranquil heart pills. As for the emotionless fire pill, spirit recovery pill, and chi replenishing pill, she also refined some of them. When she opened the door and walked out, her legs were soft and her body looked like it had been hollowed out. "Eldest miss, are you all right?" Luo Tian looked at the bruises under Yi Jioga's eyes. It was as if she had been punched twice. Even her snow-white skin couldn't hide her exhaustion. He sighed in his heart. He didn't expect that Yi Jioga, who looked so fairy-like and delicate, would be quite terrifying when she fought with all her might. If he followed such a talented and hard-working person, he wouldn't be any worse off in the future. "I'm fine. How's O Yangsen?" Yi Jioga felt that 2 days was enough for O Yangsen to think. If he still didn't agree, then he shouldn't blame her for using violence. O Yangsen already sent a message yesterday. He agreed to cooperate with us to lure the heretic cultivator. Luo Tian said. "Then what do you plan to do? Is the plan ready?" Yi Jioga had been busy refining pills for the past few days and didn't have time to participate in their discussion. "It's all ready. We plan to let O Yangsen leave the city and pretend to escape. Then, we'll set up an ambush outside the city. Wan Ziang has also prepared everything. We're just waiting for you," Luo Tian said. Although Yi Jioga wasn't present when the plan was made, she was the most important spiritual leader of this small group. Without her, Bai Songling and Jun Yichen would be able to turn the sky upside down. "What about Yi Yu? He's with Yangsen. Did he meet Lu Yunfei?" Yi Jioga asked again. "No. Recently, the city has been very strict. All the patrolling spiritualists are equipped with evil energy testing tools. She doesn't dare to act rashly." Luo Tian shook his head. "Give this bottle of pills to O Yangsen. We'll move tomorrow." Yi Jioga took out a bottle of clear heart pills. Although O Yangsen didn't lack pills as a spirit alchemist, they wouldn't be as powerful as the ones she refined. "Eldest miss, how many bottles of spirit beast pills have you refined?" Luo Tian embarrassedly asked. "Not many." Yi Jioga didn't want Jun Yichen and Bai Songling to know about her stock. She didn't want them to chase after her like a debt collector. "Oh." Luo Tian couldn't hide the disappointment on her face. His little red was about to advance. If it could eat some spirit beast pills, it would be less painful. "I'll give 1 bottle to each of you." Yi Jioga took out 4 bottles and gave them to Luo Tian. "Help me distribute them to them. Don't forget to record it down. 1 bottle costs 100 silver coins." Yi Jioga wasn't a nouveau riche. During this time, she had spent a lot of money on alchemy. She couldn't act like she used to. 100 silver coins per bottle was already the cost price. After all, she used the best ingredients. If she sold them to others, she would definitely double the price. Chapter 177. I'll definitely deliver the pills to them. "Young miss, you've worked hard. Have a good rest," Luo Tian said excitedly. "I'm going to sleep. Don't disturb me unless the sky falls down." Yi Jioga's legs were weak and her body was weak. She floated back to her room and fell asleep as soon as her head touched the bed. It was already noon the next day when she woke up. She was so hungry that she had to get up to look for food. Fortunately, Luo Tian was a careful person. He had been cooking congee in the kitchen and immediately brought it up when she woke up. He didn't forget to add 2 spicy and sour side dishes. Yi Jioga didn't care about being reserved and gulped down 2 bowls of congee. Only then did she have the strength to speak. "Where are the others?" Bai Songling and the young master have left the city to make arrangements. Yi Yu is still with Ouyang's. They'll leave the city tonight when the gates are about to close. Luo Tian put away the bowls and chopsticks. Bai Songling originally wanted to stay with Yi Jioga, but after Jun Yichen's provocation, she left with him. The two had already agreed to compete to see who would fall into the trap first. "Then let's go now." Yi Jioga stood up. Setting up a trap was an important task. She couldn't leave it to Jun Yichen and Bai Songling, these 2 unreliable enemies. After Yi Jioga and Luo Tian left the city, Luo Tian released Lil Red. The once big-bellied Lil Red had changed into a new appearance. His 2 small eyes were full of vigor. They were no longer long, but round and fat. He looked very rich, like a chafer. The 2 cicada wings on its back had become very strong. Dragging 2 more scorpions wouldn't be a problem anymore. "Go find the young master." Luo Tian ordered Lil Red. It immediately flapped its wings and flew forward. Yi Jioga and Luo Tian quickly followed behind Little Red. The 2 ran for almost 4 hours before arriving in front of a hidden cave. The cave was overgrown with weeds and a short crooked tree. It was hard to notice if one didn't look carefully. Yi Jioga and Luo Tian didn't go in immediately. Instead, they let Lil Red check the situation so that it wouldn't ruin Bai Songling and Jun Yichen's arrangements. Not long after Lil Red flew in, the big mouth flew out together with it. After eating the bottle of spirit beast pills given by Bai Songling, the parasite insect, which originally only had a big mouth, also underwent some changes. The most obvious change was that its mouth had become smaller. It had a delicate head, a pure white body, and a pair of faintly glowing wings. It looked quite elegant, but no one knew what special use it would have. The 2 goo worms circled around in front of Luo Tian and landed on his shoulders. "Eldest miss, you can go in now," Luo Tian said to Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga followed Luo Tian into the cave. The entrance was a long and narrow path. After turning a corner, it was a completely different world. The cavern was very spacious and there were a few openings on the walls. He had no idea where they led to. After Big Mouth flew to one of the caves, Bai Songling popped her head out and greeted Yi Jioga. "Miss, you're here." Jun Yichen also emerged from another hole and looked at Yi Jioga with a reserved expression. "How's your setup?" Yi Jioga looked left and right but didn't see any clues. "Almost done. I guarantee that the bloodthirsty sex evil cultivators won't be able to return," Bai Songling said proudly. "With me around, I guarantee that the bloodthirsty sex evil cultivators won't be able to survive," Jun Yichen rushed to say. "So confident?" Yi Jioga opened his spiritual eye and searched around carefully. He immediately felt a little numb. He saw that the bottom of the ordinary gray wall was actually filled with black dots. Needless to say, it must be Jun Yichen's masterpiece. After this guy recovered his strength, not only could he control goo, he could also summon poisonous insects and snakes. Other than these densely packed poisonous insects and snakes, Bai Songling also set up many traps. If the evil cultivators really chased them here, they would definitely see ghosts immediately. "Eldest miss, it's clean here. Come up and guard with me." Bai Songling waved to Yi Jioga. "No need, I'll wait outside to ambush." As a reserved lady, Yi Jioga really didn't want these long creatures to stay in the same space. "All right then." Bai Songling was a little disappointed that no one appreciated her magnificent feat. Jun Yichen didn't have any objections. After all, with Luo Tian accompanying her outside, it was no different from him accompanying her alone. Yi Jioga and Luo Tian left the cave. After restoring the weeds and trees in front of them, they each found a place to squat down. Night fell quickly. The gloomy night sky and the mountain wind whistled, bringing with it a damp and cold atmosphere. Yi Jioga squatted down on a big banyan tree branch and looked into the distance. Yi Yu followed Bai Songling to scout this cave, so there shouldn't be any mistakes. However, as long as they didn't come, her heart couldn't be at ease. Not long after, a group of figures appeared at the pitch-black foot of the mountain. They were running up the mountain quickly. Yi Jioga immediately became alert. She knew that the show was coming. This time, Oh Yongsan had made a detailed plan to sneak away. He secretly used his refined high-grade pills and a large sum of money to hire 4 intermediate spiritualists to escort him away. These spiritualists were outsiders and had stayed in Alchemy City for a long time. Under the temptation of Oh Yongsan's money, they agreed without hesitation. Yiyu changed his appearance and disguised himself as a wind spiritualist called Feng Qingyang. He was also among the group that escorted Oh Yongsan. Seeing that they were not far from the cave, he pretended to be tired and asked, "Alchemist Oh Yongsan, it's getting late. Why don't we find a place to rest?" A spiritualist called Xia Chenfeng said in a deep voice, "We're still very close to Alchemy City. Maybe we're still in the hunting range of evil cultivators. For safety's sake, let's hurry for a while." The other 2 spiritualists agreed with Xia Chenfeng's opinion. Although they were very tired, they didn't dare to rest when they thought about evil cultivators. Evil cultivators are scary, but the forest at night is also very dangerous. We've been running for a few hours and are very tired. If we encounter a powerful beast, I'm afraid we won't be able to handle it," Yiyu said reasonably. After hearing his words, the spiritualists were a little shaken and looked at their employer, Oh Yongsan. Oh Yongsan pretended to hesitate for a moment before he said to Yiyu, "Feng Qingyang, you're a wind spiritualist, so you're the fastest. Why don't you scout ahead and see if there's a suitable place to rest?" Yiyu nodded and ran up the mountain like the wind. Once he was out of the sight of Oh Yongsan and the other spiritualists, he quickly ran to the vicinity of the cave. "Yiyu, over here." Yi Jioga waved at Yiyu from under the banyan tree. Yiyu took a few steps and arrived next to Yi Jioga. "Are Bai Songling and the others ready? I'll bring Oh Yongsan over in a moment." "Are they ready? Did the disguised evil cultivator follow us?" Yi Jioga asked. "I'm not sure, but Oh Yongsan hired 3 spiritualists to escort him. I suspect that one of them is a disguised evil cultivator," Yiyu said in a deep voice. Chapter 178. Who are the spiritualists that Oh Yongsan invited? Do you have a target in mind? Yi Jioga asked. If they could confirm the identity of the disguised evil cultivator, they would have more confidence in taking action. Oh Yongsan invited 3 spiritualists. One is called Hu Lin, an intermediate water spiritualist. He talks a lot and is a fence-sitter. One is called Jiang Xingjie, an intermediate wood spiritualist. He looks simple and honest and doesn't talk much. The last one is called Xia Chenfeng, an advanced earth spiritualist. He always wanted to change routes. I think he sensed something. I suspect that Xia Chenfeng is the culprit, but I don't have any solid evidence yet. Yiyu had been following Oh Yongsan for a while and had investigated these spiritualists. Although there was no problem with the identity of these spiritualists, his intuition told him that the disguised evil cultivator was among them. We'll know after we capture them, Yi Jioga said. As long as she had time to observe carefully, she was confident that she could find the culprit. Okay, I'll lure them over now. Yiyu jumped down the tree and quickly returned to Oh Yongsan's side. How is it? Did you find the place? Oh Yongsan pretended to be tired. In fact, he was very tired. Spirit alchemists were very respected in Kanglan continent. Both the righteous and evil paths would treat them with respect. He was usually obsessed with alchemy and rarely went out. During this period of time, he was scared. After rushing for such a long time, he was exhausted. I found a hidden cave ahead. It's very suitable for lodging, Yiyu said calmly. Oh Yongsan didn't wait for the other spiritualist to speak and directly said, "Then let's go take a look." Yiyu brought Oh Yongsan and the others to the cave. Just as they were about to enter, Xia Chenfeng stopped and doubtfully said, "Brother Feng, have you checked this cave?" "I just went in and took a look. I didn't find anything unusual." Yiyu shook his head and said, "Even if there is a demonic beast inside, can't we 5 spiritualists take it down?" Brother Feng is right. If we can't even take down a demonic beast, we can forget about passing through the forest. Yangsen showed a very dissatisfied look. He had spent so much money to hire someone to escort him, but in the end, the guard was afraid of death and was overcautious. No matter which employer it was, they would not be satisfied. I just think it's better to be careful. Since Brother Feng is so sure, then just pretend I didn't say anything, Xiachen Feng said with a straight face. Let's go in. Yiyu lit a torch and walked into the cave first. Ouyang Sen and the others also walked in. Xiachen Feng carefully searched the cave once. Seeing that the inside was empty, but there were many holes above, he immediately said with some dissatisfaction, Brother Feng, do you know where these holes lead to? It's just a few empty holes. If Brother Xia is afraid, you can just seal them up. Yiyu swept a clean spot on the ground and called Yangsen over to sit. Yangsen sat down next to Yiyu, then raised his head and said to Xiachen Feng, Xiachen Feng, aren't you an earth-type spiritualist? Sealing a few holes shouldn't be a difficult task for you, right? Hu Lin and Jiang Xingjie also sat down, looking like they didn't want to leave. Xiachen Feng had no choice but to use his earth-type spirit energy to build 3 yellow walls to seal the holes. After finishing, he was a bit tired, but he didn't want to sit with the others. He found a quiet corner and took out his dry food and water bottle to eat. Alchemist Ouyang, come, have some water. Hu Lin attentively handed over his water bottle. No need, I have my own. Yangsen took off the water bottle on his waist and politely refused Hu Lin. Before he came here, Yiyu had already warned him that there might be a disguised evil cultivator among the 3 guards, so he must not get too close to them, let alone eat anything they gave him. Hu Lin didn't feel embarrassed after being refused and continued to smile. He continued to talk to Yangsen, Alchemist Ouyang, have you thought about where to go after leaving Alchemy City? I've been out for so long, I really want to go home. Yangsen said with a normal expression. He only asked Hu Lin and the others to escort him to the capital and he would walk the rest of the way. Sigh, Alchemist Ouyang is quite unlucky. You traveled thousands of miles to participate in the competition, only to encounter something like this. If it weren't for the evil cultivators, it wouldn't have been difficult for you to win the competition. Hu Lin flattered. Sigh, it's good enough that I'm still alive. I don't dare to think about the competition. Yangsen bitterly smiled. Hu Lin patted his thin chest and said, Alchemist Ouyang, don't be afraid. With us here, we will definitely protect you. Hu Lin was small and didn't have much offensive power, so he had always been doing poorly. It was rare for him to have a second-rank alchemist by his side. He really wanted to hug Yangsen's thigh and call him father. Xiachen Feng held the water bottle and sneered. He didn't hide his disdain for Hu Lin at all. The one with the surname Xia, I've tolerated you for a long time. Alchemist Ouyang invited you here to be his bodyguard, not to be his boss. Who are you acting weird all day? Brother Feng found such a good place, yet you're still so picky. What's the meaning of this? Hu Lin shouted at Xiachen Feng in dissatisfaction. Surnamed Feng doesn't even say anything. What are you pretending to be? Xiachen Feng put down the water bottle and sneered. Hu Lin was so angry that he was trembling. However, Xiachen Feng was a small realm higher than him, so he was no match for him. Hu Lin looked at Yiyu, wanting to find help. However, he saw that Yiyu was resting with his eyes closed, as if he didn't want to cause trouble. Coward! Hu Lin scolded in his heart and went to win over Jiang Xingjie. Brother Jiang, don't always look like a taciturn gourd. Otherwise, you won't even know when people come knocking. Hearing this, Jiang Xingjie just laughed and continued to collect firewood. Soon he set up a bonfire rack. It was humid deep in the mountains at night, and it got colder as the night went on. Not only could a bonfire drive away the cold, it could also drive away wild beasts. Therefore, the others were happy to see him start a fire. Seeing that 1 or 2 people ignored him, Hu Lin felt that there was no point in it, so he obediently shut up. Although Yiyu was resting with his eyes closed, his ears were eavesdropping on the movements around him. Originally, he had some doubts about Xiachen Feng. However, with Hu Lin trying to sow discord, he couldn't make up his mind. At this time, Jiang Xingjie's bonfire was already built. He took out a flint from his bag and knocked out a string of sparks, successfully igniting the bonfire. The moment the warm bonfire was lit, a strange pungent smell and smoke filled the air. Yi Yu suddenly opened his eyes, but found that his body was weak and he couldn't move. Chapter 179. Yi Yu's body was numb and his head was dizzy. He felt a sharp pain in his arm. Black Tyrant, who was hiding under his sleeve, bit through his skin and began to take the poison. The others weren't so lucky. Hu Lin's eyes rolled back and he fell to the ground. Xiaqin Feng was furious, but he also couldn't resist. Yongsan was a bit better and still had the strength to point at Jiang Xingjie, who was squatting by the fire, and scolded, "Who are you? Why are you plotting against us?" "Huh, who do you think I am?" Jiang Xingjie's honest face twisted under the light of the fire. "You are a heretic, and I have no grudge against you. Why are you following me?" Yongsan shouted in horror. "You can only blame yourself for coming to Alchemy City. In your next life, reincarnate as an ordinary person." Jiang Xingjie grinned. A green wooden saber appeared in his hand and slashed at Yongsan. Yi Yu's spirit force recovered. He pulled Yongsan to the side and dodged Jiang Xingjie's attack. Jiang Xingjie's saber missed and looked at Yi Yu in surprise. "Brat, you can still move after being hit by my muscle-weakening powder. Do you have some treasure on you?" With that said, the blue spirit force around his body surged. His cultivation actually went from mid-rank to high rank. Then, the wooden saber in his hand turned into a spear and stabbed at Yi Yu with a sharp light. Although Black Tyrant had cured most of the poison in Yi Yu's body, he still couldn't move freely. Not to mention, he was carrying Yongsan. Seeing that Jiang Xingjie's saber was about to cut his head, he quickly shouted, "What are you waiting for?" Just as Yi Yu finished speaking, countless black wasps suddenly burst out from the wall and buzzed toward Jiang Xingjie. Jiang Xingjie's expression changed. The green light on his body immediately turned into a vine armor to block the wasp's attack. He swung his saber and attacked even more fiercely. More than half of the wasps were immediately cut down. At this time, Bai Songling's proud voice came from behind the wall, "Little mute, I told you that your little bugs are useless. Watch me." Just as he finished speaking, countless gray-green vines emerged from the ground under Jiang Xingjie's feet and tightly wrapped around his calf. Jun Yichen didn't dare to show any weakness. He controlled the venomous snake to spray venom on Jiang Xingjie's body. Very quickly, a large hole was formed in his rattan armor. Yi Yu had also caught his breath. He sneaked into Jiang Xingjie's shadow and wanted to use his puppet killer to take him down. Jiang Xingjie was greatly alarmed by the repeated attacks. He knew that he had fallen into a trap and immediately lost the will to fight. He formed a seal with both hands, and the rattan armor on his body immediately burst out with a putrid black gas that filled the entire cave. The venomous snakes and bees all fell to the ground in the black gas. Bai Songling immediately held her breath and stepped back. At the same time, she took out the antidote pill. Yi did not take out the medicine. Instead, he rushed forward to save the unconscious Yongsan and Hu Lin. Seeing this, Bai Songling cursed inwardly and turned to save Xiaqin Feng, who was closest to him. If they were poisoned, they would have the help of the poisonous earth dragon Gu. If these three people were poisoned, they would die immediately. At this time, Bai Songling's big mouth Gu flapped its wings and flew out. Her small mouth suddenly widened several times, and in one breath, she inhaled the poisonous smoke into her stomach. Seeing this, Jiang Xingjie was even more alarmed. He sped up and flew towards the cave entrance. He passed through the narrow passage and was about to escape. Suddenly, a purple lightning snake lashed out from the cave entrance. The lightning snake's aura was wild and fierce. It was the power of a high-grade spirit weapon. Jiang Xingjie had nowhere to hide in the narrow passage. He could only gather all the spirit energy and evil energy in his arm to take this attack. Boom! The purple lightning snake landed on Jiang Xingjie's arm, and several green and black evil energies splattered out. Jiang Xingjie felt like he was hit by a running bull demon. His arm was in so much pain that it felt like it was about to break. His internal organs were also seriously injured. He opened his mouth and vomited blood. His body could not help but fly back into the cave. Yi Yu and Bai Songling had already saved Yangsen and the other two and placed them in the empty passage. They immediately freed up their hands to deal with Jiang Xingjie. Under the attacks of the few people, Jiang Xingjie was finally beaten to the ground. "Stinking brat, I want to see just how amazing your disguise is." Bai Songling roughly reached out to pull Jiang Xingjie's face in an attempt to find any traces of his disguise. Unfortunately, even after pulling Jiang Xingjie's face until it turned red, he could not find any flaws. "Three heroes, please let me go. I shouldn't have been possessed and tried to steal Pill Master Ouyang's pills and silver." Jiang Xingjie cried and begged for mercy. "Is that so? I thought you wanted to skin him, pull out his bones, and dig out his spirit root to show respect to your ancestor?" Yi Jioga sneered and walked in front of Jiang Xingjie. "I don't know what you're talking about. I just wanted to knock you out and steal some things." Jiang Xingjie returned to his previous honest appearance. "All right, stop pretending. We all know that you were sent by the bloodthirsty sect and that you're the best at disguising yourself. How many people did you bring, who were your accomplices, and why did the bloodthirsty sect's ancestors send you all to Alchemy City? If you tell us the truth, I'll give you a quick death." Bai Songling viciously said, "I really don't know any bloodthirsty sect's ancestor. I'm just an ordinary wood spiritualist. I don't know any heretical cultivators." Jiang Xingjie cried like a coward. If it wasn't for the evil energy he released to save his life, they would have truly thought that they caught the wrong person. "Stinking brat, you're still so stubborn even in the face of death. If you say you're not a heretical cultivator, then what was that black energy you released just now? Was it your dog fart?" Bai Songling cursed. "Brother Bai, there's no need to waste your breath on him. Cripple his arms and legs first, then slowly interrogate him." Luo Tian looked at Jiang Xingjie as if he was looking at a dead man. Their blood-cloak tribe was exterminated by the bloodthirsty sect's ancestor, so he hated the bloodthirsty sect to the bone. Without another word, he lifted his foot and broke Jiang Xingjie's arms and legs. Jiang Xingjie lay on the ground with his arms and legs twisted unnaturally. Even though he was sweating from the pain, he would never admit that he was a heretical cultivator. Yi Yu frowned deeply. He originally thought that he would be able to clear Yi Jioga's name after catching him, but he didn't expect to run into such a stubborn person. "Why don't we hand him over to Li Zijuan? They have an artifact that can detect evil energy, so they might have a way to deal with him." Bai Songling had no other choice. "It's useless. Jiang Xingjie has always been staying in an inn not far from the alchemy tower. The training soldiers have also checked there several times, but they didn't find out that he's a heretical cultivator." Yi Yu didn't find anything strange about Jiang Xingjie along the way, so he didn't believe that Li Zijuan could find anything. Chapter 180. Even if we can't detect evil energy, with Ouyang Sen and the others' testimony, we can prove that he is a heretic cultivator, Bai Songling said, unconvinced. "If he insists that he was possessed and wanted to rob us, Li Zijuan will at most lock him up. We won't be able to achieve our goal." Yi Yu shook his head. Their goal was to clear their young miss suspicions. If they can't prove that this guy is a murderous heretic cultivator, then it's useless. "This won't work, that won't work, then what should we do?" Bai Songling said dejectedly. Yi Yu couldn't help but look at Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga didn't say anything. She had already opened her spiritual eye, secretly observing Jiang Xingjie's body. On the surface, Jiang Xingjie looked like a normal spirit practitioner, without any evil energy on him. But she had just discovered something strange. Jiang Xingjie's back had a palm-sized brown wound. It looked like an old wound. But the strange thing was, every time his spirit energy moved to that wound, it would speed up. Yi Jioga suddenly had an idea. She looked up and said to Yi Yu and the others, "Turn him over and press him down." Yi Yu was startled, but quickly regained her senses, flipping Jiang Xingjie over and pressing his upper body down. Bai Songling and Luo Tian pressed his lower body down. Jiang Xingjie seemed to have realized something, shouting with all his might, "I am a spirit practitioner, you can't torture me, otherwise I'll go to the Spirit Practitioner Alliance and sue you for mistreating prisoners." "Heesh, you want to kill me? You dare to sue me for mistreating prisoners? What's wrong with me torturing you? Bai Songling sneered. Yi Jiuge ignored Jiang Xingjie's noise. She took out her thunderfire needle, injecting spirit energy into it, and pierced the wound on Jiang Xingjie's waist. Before the needle even touched Jiang Xingjie, the black gas on his body rose again. His crippled hands and feet were instantly healed. He struggled with all his might, instantly throwing Yi Yu and Bai Songling away. Seeing this, Luo Tian immediately hugged Jiang Xingjie's thigh. The Blood Cloak Miao tribe, besides refining goo, also trained their bodies. Luo Tian's body training technique was one of the best in the tribe. Using all her strength to suppress Jiang Xingjie, he didn't manage to break free. Yi Yu and Bai Songling immediately turned over and pressed Jiang Xingjie down again. Jiang Xingjie struggled like a trapped beast. Countless black gas burst out from his body and was absorbed by Bai Songling's big mouth goo. Bai Songling used her spiritual power to create a green vine net to trap Jiang Xingjie, but it was useless. In the end, Yi Jiuge used his lightning ability and chopped at Jiang Xingjie's neck. Jiang Xingjie's entire body twitched, his hair charred black, and he finally fainted. F***ck, I didn't expect this guy to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. Bai Songling wiped his sweat. He had thought that Jiang Xingjie had been beaten to a pulp. He hadn't expected Jiang Xingjie to counterattack so fiercely. If not for Luo Tian holding him down, he might have really escaped. Why did this guy suddenly go crazy? Did young mistress notice something? Yi Yu raised his head and looked at Yi Jiuge. Yi Jiuge squatted beside Jiang Xingjie and tore open the clothes on his back. He pointed at the old scar that was the size of a palm and said, "There's something inside. If I'm not wrong, there should be a high-grade magic artifact that can restrain evil energy inside." There's something inside. Bai Songling pressed hard on the scar on Jiang Xingjie's back and found that there was indeed something inside. It was about the size of a fist and was hard. Even if he has a magic artifact that can conceal evil energy, it's impossible to disguise it so perfectly. Yi Yu couldn't understand this point. Although he was also an expert in disguise, even if he wore a human skin mask, there would still be traces. But Jiang Xingjie didn't have any traces at all. I remember that water and wood dual attribute spiritualists can practice a technique called flesh regrowth technique. He should have used the flesh regrowth technique to fuse his skin with the victim's human skin mask. Look, other than the scar on his back, the color of his skin is very well proportioned. This is not normal. Yi Jiuge heroically tore Jiang Xingjie's clothes apart. Yi Yu, Bai Songling and the others were speechless. But Luo Tian didn't care. Their Miao tribe girls were much more valiant than Yi Jiuge. Taking off a man's clothes was really nothing. He carefully observed Jiang Xingjie's exposed naked skin and found that it was well proportioned as if it had been dyed. Although spiritualists weren't afraid of heat or cold, the exposed skin outside the clothes was always a little different from other parts of the body. Especially the huge difference between men's skin, it was really strange. I've heard of the flesh regrowth technique before, but this technique can only regenerate the skin. It's usually used by women to maintain their skin. I didn't expect this guy to be able to combine it with the disguise technique. Bai Songling admired Jiang Xingjie's creativity. No matter what, we've finally caught this evil cultivator in disguise. Once we send him to Li Zijuan, we'll be able to clear the suspicion of eldest Mississippi. Yi Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Finally, his efforts were not in vain. That's right, Bai Songling said while reaching out to touch Jiang Xingjie's skin. What are you touching? Juni Chen, who had been silent all this while, narrowed his eyes and looked at Bai Songling's claws that were reaching for Jiang Xingjie's lower body in confusion. I'm looking for the position where he fused with the human skin. No matter how magical this flesh regrowth technique is, it can't be made out of nothing. Bai Songling said confidently. As a wood spirit practitioner, he was also very curious about this kind of technique. Yi Jiuge watched Bai Songling examine Jiang Xingjie with great interest. He even suggested very kindly, "Why don't you take off his pants and have a look? I think the place where he used the flesh regrowth technique should be the place that no one wants to see." Bai Songling's face suddenly froze. It was a great shame for him to touch a man's crotch. Haven't you been a coroner before? Just pretend that you're doing an autopsy. Yi Jioga persuaded with a smile. Bai Songling's face twitched. He gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, I'll pretend that I'm doing an autopsy, but you're not allowed to see it." "Eldest miss, you're also tired. Do you want to take a rest?" Yi Yu asked implicitly. Yi Jioga was like a fairy in his heart. He shouldn't let such a wretched scene stain his eyes. But Yi Jioga turned around with regret. He thought to himself, "These guys are really conservative. Back when I was practicing medicine, the chickens I touched were better than the ones you've seen." Bai Songling made up his mind and took off Jiang Xingjia's pants. He found that the fusion point of the flesh regrowth technique was indeed the man's indescribable place. "No wonder we couldn't find it. This guy is really good at choosing the place," Bai Songling said in disdain. He took out a small storage bag from Jiang Xingjia's crotch. It was the size of a palm and dark red in color. It didn't look eye-catching at all, but it was undoubtedly a storage bag that couldn't be bought with 10,000 gold. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.